that's all to come, of course. This is the most important 80 minutes of this week for Warrington. Darrell Clarke looking really relaxed. There's the danger man to them in Albert Kelly. And Joe Philbin, well, he gets a run on again in the loose forward role up against former colleague Joe Westerman. And there is a former Hull man, Tom Lynham, got a late call into the side. He would have been on the bench tonight only for the fact that Ryan Atkins was taken a bit bad earlier on today. So it's going to be Warrington who will get the game underway. They'll attack in the traditional primrose and blue from left to right, and Hull in their predominantly black jerseys. And I must say, it was a nice gesture from Lee Radford to give me a souvenir of my last match at the KCOM Stadium, and I'm very flattered.
I thought you might have got a game, Eddie.
Well, I told him I'd be in his front row with 29 on the back, but I was even more flattered they gave me a large instead of a double XL. Whether I'll get into it, we'll wait and see. There's the kickoff, deep kickoff it was too, from Stefan Ratchford. And underneath the kickoff was Hakim Maludi, and the ball is dragged forward by Mickey Payer. Mark Minicello back in the side for the Black and Whites tonight. Danny Houghton, and yet again Danny Houghton on his 300th Super League game for Hull is once again Super League's top tackler so far this season, with 361 tackles to his name already. There he is in a dummy half as Payer once again plays the ball to him. Kick from dummy half right down the middle of the ground, picked up here by Stefan Ratchford. Warrington's first chance then, with ball in hand.
Well, both sides would just like to look to work each other over in the middle of the field, just test each other out, the big fellas. They've got big outside backs as well, as you see a former favourite here, Tom Lynham, coming up with a strong carry, picking Albert Kelly. Now in front they go the short side. Any team that plays against Warrington, you know you've got to be aware of that man going in dummy half, the number 9, he will go as short side, even if there's just 5 metres.
It was Darrell Clarke at dummy half. Here again is Joe Philbin, the Irish international, but 2 England Knights caps last year on the Papua New Guinea tour, and named in the 34-man squad this week as well. So maybe Joe Philbin thinking of a switch of allegiance as far as international rugby league is concerned. Here's Deck Patton with a crossfield kick from the right boot, high. And claimed by Toby King, but that was good work actually by Griffin. He just waited. And Stephen Price watching on from the stands here at the KCOM Stadium. He just waited, did Griffin, and then effected the tackle. The kick wasn't bad, but the ball in the end comes up in the possession of the Black and Whites. Payer again for them.
And just trying to work the ball away from the line, trying to find that spot defender, trying to find somebody that's a bit smaller, maybe tackles you around your legs, so you land on your front, you jump up, you get a quick play of the ball. They are a big side, Warrington, that like to work hard above the ground before you take it to ground. That's a good run, powerful run from Sikamanu.
Indeed, and once again it's Houghton with hands on the ball. He finds Kelly. Kelly then to Westerman. He'll be looking for a big game tonight. Sneed gets a short pass away to Minicello.
Oh, there was some space out the back then to Maludi.
Comes to Sneed again. Left-footed Sneed goes high. Not too much distance on this. Griffin's underneath the high ball again, but this time it's Griffin who is trapped in possession. That's the turnover.
Well, you say that Hull were embarrassed the last time they played against Warrington. That was August of last year. I think they were embarrassed in their last home game, when Wakefield just destroyed them with some brilliant tries and some amazing rugby. They've got a real job here now to patch things back together, but with Joe Westerman back in the side, I think they do look stronger. Look at the width here. They're clearly going to that left inside the first 3 minutes. They're persistently passing the ball out to that left side, the far side of the field here, and running at Hull's defenders over there.
Lynham gives it to Patton. Here comes Chris Hill, charging down the middle as normal. That's his DNA, to cart the ball forward. Austin, shaped to go left, came right in the end, and Philbin takes the latest tackle. Here he is again, Austin. Gets the ball away. Good hands from Warrington. This is Charnley coming in off the right wing. Tackled on tackle number 5 this set. About 8 metres away from the line they are. And here's the crossfield kick from Blake Austin. It's a good one too. It's claimed by Mamu in the air, but he loses it. Under pressure from Albert Kelly.
You could see what he was trying to do when he catches that ball. Jay Mamu was trying to get his arm around the back of the defender to offload it to his winger, Tom Lynham.
It was stunning play over on the right edge for Warrington, wasn't it? The fullback, Stefan Ratchford, catching the ball and passing it in the same action, and it gave a metre or so of space to Josh Charnley. good signs for Warrington. Apart from the back end of that kick, when there was a forgivable mistake by Jake Mamo, they look like they're in the mood.
This is Josh Griffin. And here they come now with Scott Taylor. And Taylor's run gets them to the halfway line. The end of tackle number 4. They go into centre field here, and they find Westerman. Short ball, but was forward.
He had a lot to deal with then, Joe Westerman. There was some inside pressure working from Joe Philbin. You could see that he gets out of the line, he tries to whack him, puts pressure on him, and forces him really into making that pass. And Mickey Payer, when he's pushing up in support, Westerman just overruns it.
Make sure we just get square at Mark.
Good defence from Warrington.
Eddie, you asked me about Joe Philbin last week. He got that start. He's got a second one this week. You asked me, did I think he could bring the same thing to the table as he does when he comes on off the bench? And I thought he would, but I think he would be disappointed with his efforts. The challenge for him is to view every minute, potentially, as his last minute on the field.
Well, he started at loose forward last week against Wakefield. He's starting in the same position here tonight. And this now is Mike Cooper. Not selected for either England or the Knights this week. There's something going on the ground there. Perhaps here's that man Philbin. Gets to his feet and plays it to Clark, and he'll have a dash because they're not standing properly. And that was Austin. An important ankle tap on him. Warrington applying pressure here again to this Hull FC line. With Clark to Ratchford. They come down the right again. Hughes with a kick in behind Josh Griffin. He has to come to the ball with his foot. Knocks it dead. Goal line dropout coming up.
I think it's been impressive in the opening 5 or 10 minutes here, just how wide Warrington are playing this game out there. Good passes to stretch their opponent's defence all across the field. And both Ben Curry on the left and Jack Hughes on the right now are dangerous second rowers in that ability to kick the ball gently behind the line and sitting in that in-goal area. Will give Warrington the first chance here to start to set the possession inside the opponent's half of the field.
Well, we've mentioned a couple of times the fact that last year Warrington beat Hull 80 points to 10 at the Halliwell Jones Stadium, as we see St Helens 6 up against Hull Kingston Rovers, the league leaders. They also beat them 30 points to 12 at home last year, but last March they suffered their 3rd defeat in 4 visits on this ground, the KCOM. 12-21. This is Blake Austin, though. He wasn't there last year, and Blake Austin gets there, and how about that for a finish? He took a bit of a bang on the head as well.
That's the difference between Blake Austin and a lot of his peers. He makes himself available. A lot of sixes, a lot of standoffs. Can run, they can pass, but the support play for Blake Austin, you're right, Eddie, whilst twisting and turning, might well have picked a knock-up.
He runs those leads. Those lead runs where other people don't want to do. He pushes up, he supports. I think it's nice to see when you've got Philbin and Chris Hill just tipping the ball onto each other, and that man pushing up in support.
Scott Taylor lands on his head, doesn't he? That's where his problem comes. There's nothing wrong at this point here, and I don't think Scott Taylor does it intentionally. Maludi tries to bring him to ground, and as Taylor falls here now, it's going to look worse in slow motion. I think his hit just hits the side of the head.
His shoulders end up in an awkward position as well, above his head. Awkward one.
He's good determination to get to a try line.
Are they looking for a possible double movement, Stuart?
It's a double movement, but I think you can see from the full speed shot that his momentum takes him over the line, never stops, the tackle's never complete, and I think this will be awarded.
They might go green. Looks like it is going to go green. It is. Blake Austin is still on his back, receiving attention, being checked out. But he's got his 4th try of the season. Has Blake Austin. And he's also got a bit of a cut on the head as well, by the looks of things.
So it could be a penalty as well after the try here. It's a brilliant pass. 2 forwards passed into a fast-moving back. Just look at that. He strikes through the line. They can't pull him to ground. He had one run earlier where they did well to stop him, but they couldn't stop him on the second occasion. Soft hands there from Chris Hill, almost like a standoff to a forward there, but in reverse here, the combination of play with his Warrington side set them apart here in these first 7 or 8 minutes.
What might be the decision, Stuart, with that? Would it
They ruled that it was accidental.
Accidental, okay. This is Ratchford to try and add the extras. And that's exactly what he does. It won't be a penalty in front of the sticks. Blake Austin's A-OK to carry on, and Warrington lead by 6 points to 0.
When you're lining up against Joe Philbin and Chris Hill, you're expecting them to run the ball and run over you. I think when he gets the ball and they tip it onto that man, I don't think there's a problem with the tackle. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows where the try line is. He's a player, Blake Austin. I think you look at the back rowers, the forwards that Warrington have got, they all like to play, they all like to tip the ball on, the turn up for each other. They've got a kick in the game as well.
That's good defence from Hull, though, on Joe Philbin. Here comes Curry again, and straight at Scott Taylor. 6-0, 8 minutes gone. Warrington Wolves ahead. St Helens ahead, so the top two in the Betfred Super League leading early in their matches tonight. Hughes takes the ball forward. Jack Hughes elevated and steps up to the full England squad now after his captaincy of the Knights in Papua New Guinea last autumn. He was named in the England train-on squad. Well done to him. At the high kick, Austin got a bit of a clatter then as the ball went. Oh, that was nearly nicked. This will be interesting. It's zero tackle because that was not taken cleanly by Hakim Maloudi. So a great chance here for Warrington with Hughes. Now it's with Charnley. And Josh Charnley will be helped over the line, I'm sure, and then held up on his back. He'll take it back 10 metres and the tackle count will continue.
Josh Charnley, tackle one.
That shows just how dangerous they are. You see Maloudi losing the ball forward.
Okay, Josh.
It's a knock-on. It might have to have been a knock-on both ways.
It looked like it hit his arm, didn't it, when he went forward?
Warrington aren't complaining. That's Austin, that's Curry. This is Mamo. He's in great try-scoring form, but that's great defence over on that far side. Twimavavi underneath him. Referee Robert Hicks is going to hand this upstairs as well to Ben Thaler, but they've got no try on the field. And unless they find sufficient evidence to overturn it, the decision will stand.
Well, he gets himself through the line, Jay Mamo. But Carlos Twimavavi's clamping that ball. They're working ever so hard to try and turn him over.
That's great work.
That is a game of inches and a play of inches. To focus on where they are on the pitch, where the ball is, the momentum that Jay Mamo's got, and he doesn't get that ball down.
It was on Farimo's hand, and it was Twimavavi who spun him on his back.
I think the skill to get the ball though to Mamo in the first place, the passing accuracy, the pace with which Warrington are playing this game. I know this trial will be ruled out here. They'll come back and play the ball. I don't think Hull have played against a team who've played with greater skill or speed than this for a long time here now. They're running hot.
Tackle two, mate. Tackle two.
Held up over the line, so tackle count will continue 10 metres back on that far side. Here is Patton again, and Hill runs straight at Taylor. Helped out by Westerman. Down he comes. Mickey Pear was there as well for good measure. Three big men there. Here is Austin. Nice run from him, jinking and turning and twisting, finds Clark. Now it's with Ratchford. Ratchford gets it wide to Toby King. Good defence from Jordan Thompson. Cooper. Flat pass, but everyone in black and white colours inside the stadium on the terraces anyway thought it was forward. The man who didn't was the referee, and that is a try for Darrell Clark. Boos ring around the KCOM Stadium. The Hull supporters believe it was a forward pass that they weren't pulled back for. But it's very difficult to call them right 100% of the time. Darrell Clark, who looked in confident mood before the match started, has just gone over for the second Warrington try.
Well, here's the mistake from Maloudi. Then they go to the other side, they go to Jay Mamo. He's held up. Great defence from Hull FC. But the focal point of the game is what's happening around the ruck. And Darrell Clark, he spots an overchase from Minicello, who's too wide of the ruck in the first place, the number 12. He gets up quick, he tries to force Darrell Clark into passing the ball to Blake Austin, and there's just too much space. He spots it.
They're extremely wide, aren't they, Hull FC? And I don't know whether that's because of all the passes that Warrington are putting in. They're looking to spread the ball. Wide passes, not just forwards, carting it up. One-man rugby league. It's pass for pass, and that's, I think, the reason why Hull FC was so stretched on their own goal line D.
Well, this is going to be a 12-0 lead, I think, because Ratchford, this is well within his range, but we might have another look at the pass that was judged to be dubious by the Hull supporters in the build-up to that try. 12-0 though, Warrington lead. It doesn't matter now. It might be worth an examination.
I think it's a fair play. I don't think from that angle you can tell. I think there's no major drama.
Well, it looked a fair pass. Pretty flat pass, as you mentioned.
And then the try was scored because, as Barry says, the width with which Warrington have played, it stretched Hull's defence across the line. And Darrell Clark's the beneficiary of 10-minute period here where they've really made Hull spread out, cover the full 68 metres this pitch, and look at the gap then between the defenders, so wide that with a player with Clark's speed in the middle of the field, that was just an open invitation to run.
Go off the ball.
The last time we were here, Hull lost to Castleford in round 2. It was their 13th consecutive defeat. It was a brave effort that night though. 18-26 they went down in the end. Thought coming here today the atmosphere might be a little more buoyant than it was last night. It'll certainly be buoyant at the Totally Wicked Stadium where Saints lead 10-0, and it will be round the Halliwell-Jones area as well, because here come Warrington again. In the end, Farimo gets to his man and brings him down, Darrell Clark. He will play the ball. It's with Austin again, another one of those trademark dummies. What a beautiful try from Blake Austin. It's his second. And Warrington are running as hot as they ever have done here tonight. Blake Austin with the second try of the night for him. He got a Man of the Match award last week against Wakefield and a try. He's got 2 in the opening 13.5 minutes here. Warrington's marquee signing of 2019.
Love this try. All came off the back of a really smart inside pass from Chris Hill. And from that break, from that field position, the Master-in-Chief, there it is. The work that Chris Hill and the rest of the forwards are doing, it just leaves an uncertainty in the minds of those defenders. They don't know whether to commit to the ball carrier or the potential receiver of that ball and that short pass. Wonderful stuff from Warrington.
Hull can't deal with the short passing game, and obviously there's an overchase every time that defenders are lining up against Blake Austin. You're panicking, you're trying to anticipate what he's going to do.
Well, this for an 18-0 lead with just over 14 minutes on the clock. And 18-0 it is. And Hull are in danger here, in real danger of slipping to defeat already.
Well, they can tell here, don't they? They've spread them wide now, and then they split them down the middle. That short pass back on the inside from a forward to a back. And the only thing that Hull have got to talk to themselves now and convince themselves is that Warrington were in this position last week at Wakefield. I think 18 points up, as Eddie says, there in 18 minutes. And yet the Warrington side ended up nervous at the end of that game. We'll have to hang in there now. It's a difficult period. They'd certainly need some improved communication and somehow try and match the speed with which Warrington are playing this match.
Well, Warrington are playing so quickly, we've been trying to get down so well that we've been trying to get down to Bill for about the last 5 minutes. So let's do that now. Down to the sideline, Bill.
I better make it quick, Eddie, the pace they're playing at. And I tell you what, Lee Radford said in the build-up to this game, he said on Sky Sports that his players were more happy playing away from home at the moment because they felt the sport was more vocal than they got here at the KCOM Stadium, and it's that case in point again here tonight. All you can hear is chuntering from the Hull FC supporters. It's the Wire fans who of course are cock-a-hoop at the moment. Hull FC have got to give their fans something to cheer about. They've got to get their hands on the ball to be able to do that.
Well, they have their hands on the ball now, and Curry all over the top of Hankin Maludi. And they're flying in the tackle, Warrington.
You're right, Eddie, they've got their hands on the ball, but look where they are. Well, the fans trying to get the penalty out of the referee, Robert Hicks. The speed off the line from Warrington.
Well, they're all offside down their left, Warrington, at that play the ball.
Yeah, that's lazy play from Jack Patton and Corder.
They're all offside again. They're like a dog's hind leg in front of the referee then. No wonder the crowd's getting a little bit uppity. But here goes Minicello. Over the top it goes and into space, and in the end it bounces into the arms of Beretta Farimo.
Go left.
Last tackle, Warrington's defence has kept them penned back. That's Kelly's kick, it's high, and this is Going to be fairly easy for Charnley under no pressure whatsoever. Now he is from Matongi.
Well, you'd like more distance on that kick instead of putting it high in the air. It wasn't really a contest because no Hull FC player could get there to challenge Josh Charnley. And now when they're trying to make it slow on Josh Charnley, who always kick-starts the start of set to 6, with his strong, powerful running, they give a penalty away on halfway.
First penalty of the game here. Mark Sneyd judged to have had his hand on the ball and rolling it away from Josh Charnley after the tackle had been completed. So here come Warrington again, scoring at the moment at more than a point a minute. This is Cooper. Gets the ball away somewhat untidily, but look, it still goes to a Warrington man, and it's Blake Austin. And Austin then almost tackles himself. There's a little word in the ear of Danny Houghton. Patton at dummy half. This is Hill. Hill flicks a beautiful pass out the back door and finds Clark. This is Hughes, another beautiful pass. Charnley, they're in again. Warrington are in again. They are red hot tonight. Josh Charnley with the try, celebrating his comeback to the England fold this week with his 8th try of the season. And Hull at the moment have got no answer to this. Warrington leading by 22 points to 0. Kick to come. 18 minutes on the watch.
Well, Josh Charnley was the man who earned his side a penalty. The ball stripped from him when he returned the ball from really a poor kick. Not enough distance on it. Mark Sneyd's the guilty man. You can see Chris Hill when he goes at line. He's pumping. He's looking to offload the ball straight away. And they create the overlap so easy. Jordan Thompson's got to have more faith on the inside man, on the defender next to him. This is where communication's a big key aspect of the game. You've got to make sure you work with Mark Sneyd, but he bites in, creates a 2-on-1 on the outside. It's just too easy for Josh Charnley.
Eddie, I'm just watching the Hull FC players behind the sticks. Who's talking? Who's the player putting the hand up and saying, listen, we've got to dig our heels in now, we've got to roll our sleeves up. The scoreboard has got 22 points against them. That last set of possession for Warrington was their 10th. Hull FC have only had 5 goals with the ball and done nothing with it. It'll start with a good defensive set, it'll start with a good defensive effort, and then the next time they have the ball, they'll have to try and get some energy back in the game.
This is Ratchford to try and add 2 more, but he has just pushed it the wrong side of the left-hand upright. Always thought it might be a tough assignment, this, for Hull tonight. They've lost comeback king Gareth Ellis. He's dropped out. Fullback Jamie Shaw, the 4-try winger Ratu Nolago, he's out too. Jake Connor, the list is endless, but they've got no answer to this, Phil.
No, they haven't. I mean, just want to look at this try once more. Josh Charnley, this is the 33rd try he scored in 36 games since he returned from Sale Sharks. That's a phenomenal strike rate, whether you're playing any sport. To be able to almost score at every time you play is one of the reasons why. Playing on the right wing as well, more often than not, teams on the left wing end up being the top try scorer in a rugby league team. Players favour passing that way, but to play on the right wing and have that conversion of chances into tries is one of the reasons why this year just might be the year of the Wolf.
Well, it's not a very good night thus far for the city of Kingston upon Hull, because as you've just seen, Hull Kingston Rovers are trailing 16-0 at the leaders St Helens. Here it's even worse for the Black and Whites. They're 22-0 down at home against the Warrington Wolves. We're a quarter of the way through this match, halfway through the first half, and the 2 teams sitting top and second in the Betfred Super League table are looking like they're going to maintain that particular effort. And look at this, just look at this. Josh Griffin has dropped the ball, and Josh Charnley has said thank you very much, and I'll take the next Warrington try. 26 points to 0. When things are going against you, things go very much against you. And Lee Radford, he's cut a lonely figure in the stands behind the posts. Josh Charnley has just got 2 tries in 3 minutes, and they're 26-0 down.
It's not even as though that was a big, expansive set of 6. They've just rolled onto the ball. They got Hull FC going backwards. Blake Austin kicked the ball out of some hang time, but the pressure, the defensive attitude of this Warrington side, you can see as soon as that ball goes up in the air, they get in there in numbers, they're putting pressure on Griffin at the back, and then it just takes a nice bounce into Josh Charnley's hands, and everything is going to Warrington Wolves' way. They're running hard, they're offloading, They're working hard for each other. It's a big start, big opening 21 minutes for Warrington.
It's a rugby league masterclass for 21 minutes. Can they do it for another 19 here now? That'd be amazing. They really have shown themselves. Obviously, Hull are in a mess, but they've got to work their way out of it. Warrington have been absolutely brilliant, and they've got no response. I don't think he can believe, can he?
Yes, second year in charge at Warrington. Missed out on the 2 big prizes in the finals last year. Determined to put the record straight this year. Ratchford adds another 2 points to the total. We've only been playing 22 minutes. Warrington are 28-0 up here at the home of Hull FC.
And the challenge is similar to last week against Wakefield, but not the same. They've got to maintain. They've got to put an 80-minute performance in. When you look at Steve Price and you follow his words and what he says about his team, he's a nice guy, speaks well, always has a smile on his face. Well, last week at Wakefield he didn't, and before the game there he was stern. And it's a good reaction by his team, but I think it would have been led by that coach who's laying down a disciplinary marker. You do as you're told, or you're out.
Well, I'm reminded that it was half-time in the 80-10 debacle for Hull last August, and Warrington were leading 34-6. They're on course again for that sort of score at half-time. The difference is that was at Warrington's home ground. This is at Hull's home ground, and that's why the crowd in black and white is just a little bit quiet, and it's the Warrington supporters who've made the journey across who are the ones who are singing. Here's another high kick from Austin. Don't forget, tomorrow another offering from the NRL, North Queensland against Cronulla. It's a 6:25 start live on Sky Sports Arena.
I think the start of this game is a knock-on effect for the last 22 minutes that they showed last week. Obviously, Steve Price wanted a reaction. He wanted them to play for 80 minutes. The way that they've started here, the challenge is now for Hull FC to get into this game.
Looks like Hull Kingston Rovers are in the game at St Helens. 16-6 now it is. I think we got a quick glimpse of the St Helens team sheet, and it was a weakened side that Justin Holbrook has put out against Rovers. Now then, can Kelly conjure something up here? Nearly, but he's clawed to the ground by Mamo and Curry. This is Sneed. Sneed. I was going to say crossfield kick, but it goes high and into the middle. And Minicello just snaked a leg out, and Jack Hughes picks up the gift.
Well, they need some decent field position, I think, Hull FC. So Albert Kelly then how dangerous it can be on a one-on-one. He can skin most people, but just not touching the ball. They've not got that field position. They're not dominant going forward, and now Warrington rolling on the likes of Ben Murdoch. Masilla doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't.
Move, Albert, get to me, hold.
Jason Clark is on the field as well. It's the first change, and Murdoch Masilla comes on for Joe Philbin. Clark goes on for Chris Hill, and that's his first touch. He plays the ball here to Clark, finds Patton. That's a nice little kick, deft into the corner, picked up by Farimo. Here is Miludi.
You know, if my memory serves me right, every time Hull have received the ball, it's been about 5 metres from their own try line. That's absolutely amazing, the control that they've had on the game. In fact, they'll start to set here. That's probably the biggest cheer from Hull, because they realise they might get out to their own half of the ball.
Well, he's doing his best to get out of the way, is Ben Curry. But he didn't get out of the way quick enough for Robert Hicks's liking, so a penalty to the black and whites. I'm told, Stuart, you might correct me if I'm wrong, and I sometimes am, usually, that the NRL have waved all that away. If it touches the player lying in or close to the ruck, the NRL don't penalise anymore.
Well, I don't know whether they've officially rolled it away, but
the referees have.
There were quite a few instances this morning when that happened.
And did they wave?
And they just played on.
Yeah. This is Westerman. Hull attacking the Warrington line for the first time, if memory serves. I can't remember being up this end before.
Right, Eddie, and using some width as well.
That could have been a penalty, and it is. Patton's all over the top.
Penalty, what would they say?
Try. Yeah. Which end? Deck Patton, he will have unhappy memories of the game here. Oh, and hello, Hull Kingston Rovers are banging on the door at Saints. He was sent off in this fixture last year, suspended afterwards for 5 games. Liam Watts, likewise, he was sent off. It was his last match for Hull. He was quickly out of the door, and Castleford snapped him up. This is Sneed, short ball to Minicello. Three tackles gone. So, well, that's a mess. That's an absolute mess.
Well, they looked like they were setting up on the right-hand side as well. Mark Minicello, one of the most experienced players that they've got in this side, as he's trying to get up to play the ball. He plays the ball, does he play it into the foot of Blake
Well, the
Osley,
referee explained
who's
that
not
he's walked off the mark.
Well, he might have walked off the mark. Certainly Austin was not standing square.
The referee's decided that he walked off the mark. There's no advantage to what he can have, and he played the ball forward. So he's gone with the scrum. You could say it could have been a penalty for walking off the mark, but Warrington have the head and feet at the scrum.
Could it have been a penalty the other way as well for not standing square, or not?
Well, I don't think so, because I think his calls the player not to be square by moving off the mark.
It could have been a penalty for Blake Austin being around the head of Minicello as well, so they can feel hard done by all they want. The black and whites, but it's time again. Dig in, roll your sleeves up, put a good defensive set in, and get the rewards off the back of that the next time you have the ball.
Well, they've stemmed the tide slightly because it's now just a point a minute. 28 minutes gone, 28 points scored.
And the harder they work here near Warrington's line, I was going to say the better that there will be, the more field position there will be. Hand on the ball, you can't control. And another couple of powerful charges, trying to make it slower, trying to help your teammates to get back with the referee and Jordan Lane. He'll be disappointed, the young man.
Just coming off the bench again tonight. He was substitute last week against London.
Move, hold.
And the Warrington man, Ben Curry, was just placed gently on the floor. There was nothing gentle about that from Matongo.
Well, that was good line speed. He had him in his sights then, didn't he?
But they still can't get him down. Late retreater.
Here's Austin again, causing them all sorts of trouble. Oh, and so is this fellow. Ben Murdoch-Masila, biff bang bosh. Held up on the line. And then a wrestling match with Minicello. Clark switches the direction of the attack to Cooper via Hughes. Cooper gets the ball away again. That's not a knock-on, is it? It is a knock-on. Although he seemed to get a foot to it and knock it back. Maybe it went into the chest of the Hull man.
Yeah, I think that's what it did. It hit the chest of the Hull player before he managed to get his foot on it.
I'd say that when Lee Radford gets his team in, he'll talk about getting those Warrington players down on the ground, finishing tackles off. We haven't seen an awful lot of offloads after the tackle. As we see Mike Cooper, one of the few times that Warrington have passed it after they've been tackled. But I think the fact that Hull FC aren't putting players down to ground, so there's, instead of being two markers set and a set defensive line, there's a late retreater, a little bit of uncertainty of who's responsible for tackling who.
Move now. Hold. Go.
Andre Sabelio is making his Hull FC debut. What a moment to come in at 28-0 down.
Go on, lad, make a difference.
That's what they will be hoping. And of course he's up against his former club, isn't he? 3-year deal signed last week for Andre Sabelio. Just waiting to come on.
Good signing, good player, Sabelio.
Here's Westerman. Back he goes to Sneed. He drops the pass off again to Minicello. And three Warrington defenders there, though, waiting, and Murdoch-Masila coming in for good measure. Down the middle they go. Sabelio gets greeted with a good round of applause on his debut as Twimavavi takes the ball forward.
Hold. Go for.
There's Miludi. Infield to Kelly. Houghton gets the ball away to Sneed. Sneed trying to wrong foot Murdoch-Masila, but there were reinforcements behind him in Clark. Jason Clark, that is. Here's Kelly now floating it to the right-hand side. High. Ball is knocked forward by Warrington, is it? No, it's knocked back by Hull. It's still alive. Now it's not. It's all a bit hurried, it's all a bit rash, it's all a bit anxious, it's all a bit fractious.
Frustrated as well. See the players, they're all looking round, the hands are going up in the air. The unstructured play at the end of the set. Maludi just couldn't take that ball. Again, there's some pressure on the man who's passing the ball and his support players as well. Just can't seem to get the end of the sets. Right, Hull FC.
This is interesting. I know Warrington have got a significant lead, Eddie, but without Chris Hill on the field, can they still have the same impact, the same power as the horsepower left here now? Is their engine still as powerful to cause the problems for their opponents?
Hull will take a little heart, I suppose, from the fact that Warrington looked very dominant last week against Wakefield, but this fella's having an absolute field day tonight. Blake Austin, he has waltzed through them. He has waltzed through them, and it's a first half hat-trick for Blake Austin. No wonder he's smiling. The Warrington coach, Steve Price. He is their marquee signing for 2019, Blake Austin, and he has doubled his try tally for the season already. He began tonight with 3. He scored 3 tonight in the opening 32 minutes of this first half. It has been a blistering first half from Warrington, and they're 32-0 up.
Well, just look at the contact area. You see Minicello back to the play, can't get back in position, and that's where Blake Austin, he takes the advantage.
He's brilliant, isn't he? Every time he gets the ball, said at the start of the game, he's a runner. As a defender around the middle, you would hate to play against somebody like this, because you know he's big, he's powerful, he's going to take on the biggest of forwards. Laterally, forwards, genuinely, never normally the best, Eddie. So people like that, look at him, put you in a position that you don't want to be in. Look how fit he looks, happy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's full of it, isn't he? And I don't think Stuart Pearce is too downhearted either with the start that they've made.
It looks a bit cold, Fitz, there. Should have put a bigger coat on, lad.
I'll tell you what you would say about Blake Austin. He's having the impact on Warrington that Ben Barber had at this point last season. Players can't stop him, opponents can't handle what he does. He's too quick, he's too powerful. Coming over here now just to get himself back into position as Stefan Ratchford, 4 from 5. That's another improvement Warrington have made. The goal kicking so far this season.
He's added another 2. 34 points to 0. A first half hat-trick for Blake Austin.
Well, some people think he may end the season as the game's top try scorer. And on the evidence of 33 minutes here today, who'd bet against that? He's made this look easy, hasn't he? The way he's cut through the team, running faster, more powerful. Obviously helped with the foundation that his teammates have set up before.
I remember talking to Dave Ferner, who spent some time at Cameroon, and he said he's absolutely brilliant. He said he will set Super League alight with his style, his attacking play. He's big, he's 6'1".
Very wish Leeds
very
signed
strong.
him, man.
One, move, Massin. Hold now,
Well, they did
hold.
all right last night, Leeds in the end. Nice golden point win for them. Heartbreak for Castleford, of course, and Paul McShane in particular. But this is a masterclass from Warrington in the first half here tonight.
It's just speed, Eddie. They're getting over the advantage line. They're winning contact. They've not been dominated. You can see again there's a late retreater. And Danny Houghton who's getting back. They're just taking an awful lot of energy out of the Hull FC plays. 3 players and can't take Mike Cooper down.
Go for. Go with it.
Clark gets the ball away to Jason Clark. That's Darrell Clark to Jason. No relation.
Held. Release. Go left.
Here's Clark again. Finds Patton and Curry, and wide again to Mamo. Mamo dabs the ball forward. It bounces kindly in the end for Maludi. This is a good run from Maludi.
Well, he has got errors in his game, but he is exciting, isn't he? Hakim Maludi at the back.
2, move, Toby. Go.
Warrington here, what will they try and do? Hull FC trying to get forward themselves with the likes of Mark Minicello.
Back here. Mike, hold.
Need a calm head in this situation when you're down by 34 points in the first half.
It's a very important half-time team talk by Lee Radford.
Release, Ben.
How he fixes up the mountain of issues that they've got in the game.
Just no in the air.
It'll be fascinating.
Now
To be a fly on the wall in that changing room at half-time, but the Black and Whites have got a penalty, some rare field position, and can they trouble the scoreboard before half-time?
They're responsive.
Well, they start from a dangerous position, so we've seen Warrington absolutely quicksilver in attack. What are they like in defence tonight? Here is Savelio, taking them to within 3 or 4 metres of the line.
Hold.
Houghton waits. Comes to Westerman. Matongo. Started all 7 this year so far until tonight coming off the bench. He only had 7 starts throughout the whole of 2019. That's a good run. That's a chance for Westerman, but he's forced back. Somehow he hangs on to the ball.
Big effort from Stefan Ratchford over the top, wasn't it, on Westerman?
Hold. Go 3.
Houghton again goes the right-hand side with Sneed. Sneed will find Kelly. Kelly short ball.
Move now, goal line.
4 Warrington defenders in very, very quickly on Jordan Lane.
Let him up, Jordan.
Little dummy from Meludi, and Warrington have the strength to hold him up, push him back. Last tackle coming up here. Back it comes to Kelly. Crossfield kick for Kelly, looking for Griffin. And Charnley has dropped it, so they're going to get an extra set here now.
A solid defensive line.
Sorry, from the goal line.
From Warrington then.
Oh, look, shot clock on.
Josh Charnley, well, he's targeted, isn't he?
Drop out. He's jumped from the field of play. Sorry, from the goal line.
He jumps.
It's not a knock. Well, it is a knock on here, but it's a goal line dropout because
was-
Robert Hicks has said he's come from the field of
from the
in-goal
area. That's why
That's running
it's a
right.
drop up. But that was a tremendous tackle, wasn't it, from Ratchford to prevent the bigger player in Joe Westerman
Over the
getting
line.
that ball down over the
10
line.
seconds, Blake.
I watched it first time. I missed the fact that he was over the line, and Warrington held him up,
Well,
pushed him
look at
back
this.
over.
Hull Kingston Rovers are ahead at Saints. Warrington heading to the top of the table tonight. This is Matongo.
A big 3 minutes for Hull FC now. They've had some decent field position, but they need to get over the try line.
Play it. Go on. Just stand up, Massey.
Houghton.
0.
Sneed. The ball was knocked out of his hands, knocked offline in the pass, so it's wiped down again, the tackle count. This is Minicello.
0. Move, Jack.
It's Jack Hughes that makes a play for that ball, and Mark Sneed to get another set of 6.
Well, Hull Kingston Rovers ahead by 18 points to 16 at St Helens. If Lee Radford can get that news to his players, it might spur them on a little bit in the second half.
Goal line. Hold. Go on.
Here's Kelly again. Back it comes to Westerman. Westerman gets the ball away to Savelio. Cooper dealt with the threat, so did Masilla.
Go.
Houghton, scampering run to the Warrington line. Jason Clark with the tackle. Cooper in close attendance again. Westerman with a dummy one way, comes this way to Kelly. Now then, Albert Kelly gets the try for Hull. 34 points to 4, kick to come. Should be 34-6 at half-time. Albert Kelly with the try. He missed the first 3. He's been standoff in the last 4. And he's got his 3rd try of the season. Is this the spark that Hull were looking for?
Well, they've not had many opportunities to score tries, have they? But Albert Kelly is certainly one of those players in a Hull FC jersey that has got that spark. He needs to get his hands on the ball. He is an attacking player. Warrington have got Blake Austin, and when you give this man Albert Kelly the ball, he's another player who likes to take on defences, spots a weakness around the play of the ball, and goes right for it.
The player at acting half is one of those players I'd like to see in a black and white shirt, get his hands on the ball a little bit more. Joe Westerman, strong carrier of the ball, got a smart pre-line, can offload the ball out of the tackle, and he played a small part in that try, but as a leader of this group, he needs to get more involved.
Sneed adds the extras. There is something more positive for Hull to build on in the dressing room at half-time, but it's only 6 points. Warrington have 34.
Well, Warrington struggled last week at the second stanza. I don't think that'll be the case today, particularly now not after this try. The Hull crowd have at least got something to cheer about. Let's give them a spring in the step here now. They've got up out of the seats, and we can see whether this Hull side here now could match that. I think we're just going to see a restart, maybe one play before we get the half-time hooter.
Referee has called time off. 39 minutes, 39 seconds.
You ready, Stefan?
Half time at Saints. Saints leading 16-0. Hull KR turned round 18-16 up. What a fight back there. Can the Black and Whites match the fight back here at the KCOM Stadium? Ratford's kickoff. Meludi's underneath it. Matongi will bring it back. 15 seconds to go. Cooper gets to him with Jason Clark. Jack Hughes.
Release!
Oh, that's a penalty. That's a penalty for Hull. It's just gone slightly untidy in the last few moments for Warrington. So Sneed will dump this ball into touch just on the halfway line. I wonder if it'd be a hey lads hey, a kick and chase.
Keep this ball alive. Mark Sneed's just trying to direct his troops here.
What a turn up this will be if they get in for a try. And this is Meludi, but he's gone down a blind alley. That's the end of that. That's the end of the half. One to forget, one to remember for Stephen Price. I don't think he'd be too pleased that they conceded that try late in the half, but it was Blake Austin's half, there's no doubt about that. His hat-trick of tries. First one in the 6th minute, he got the third in the 32nd, and in between he got another on 13 minutes. So it was Austin, Clark, Austin, Charnley, Austin. 34-0 they led just after about half an hour. The last 8 minutes of the first half, Hull got some consolation, and who knows, maybe something to build on in the second half. But it'll need a monumental effort from the Black and Whites to come back from this. They trail 34 points to 6 to the Warrington Wolves. Them perhaps weave a little bit of magic.
The asterisk, the sign that says what you're being offered isn't actually what you're being offered. Money back, asterisk, as a free bet, isn't money back at all. Sky Bet is levelling the playing field one small step at a time. When we say money back, we mean it. From now on, we'll be giving money back as actual cash. Hasta la vista, asterisk. Sky Bet, levelling the playing field one less.
Argos, treat yourself this payday. Save 20% on indoor furniture when you spend £100 or more with code FERN20. And catch our lowest prices ever on this 4K Samsung Curve TV from just £479. Plus, enjoy savings of up to 25% on selected garden power and pressure washers. Buy it today and take up to 6 months to pay when you spend £99 or more on the Argos card. With Argos, you're good to go.
Pursuing 2 members of a heist crew carrying stolen money. Sent back up to Westwood Metro Station.
1 out of 3 rookies washes out, so odds are either you, Chen, or Nolan won't be here in a year.
It's been my plan A since I was in diapers. There's no way I don't see it through.
Police! Drop your weapon! Hands on the hood!
We grab suspect at large.
We're gonna have each other's backs, no matter what.
Brand new The Rookie continues Thursday at 9 on Sky Witness. And if you've missed any of the action so far, you can join the rookies in training by watching the series from the start on Catch Up TV.
Find out what happens in the next chapter of the F1 World Championship, the Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix, tomorrow, live on Sky Sports F1.
It's gone back to Richardson. Richardson with a drop goal. He's kicked it!
Well, lots of Premier League action for you. Man City taking on Fulham tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Sky Sports Premier League. Doubleheader on Super Sunday. Cardiff in action against Chelsea. Difficult period coming up for Cardiff. Liverpool take on Tottenham in a very important game in the race for the title. 4:15 p.m. on Sky Sports Premier League. For that Monday night football sees Arsenal hosting Newcastle. Then on Tuesday, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer brings his Manchester United to take on Wolves at Molineux, 7:30 p.m. Again, Sky Sports Premier League, same channel, 7 p.m. on Wednesday, Man City hosting Cardiff. Round 8 of the Betfred Super League is up and running, and over at the Totally Wicked Stadium, a surprise half-time result. There were 4 changes to the St Helens side that beat Castleford convincingly last time out, and they got off to a great start. As at the Mendehoes Jungle, Lachlan Coote opening the scoring, followed by a Jack Welsby try, and then Luke Thompson gave them a 16-0 lead. But Tim Sheen's side have roared back, double from Kane Lynette and Will Oakes scoring as well. 18-16 at half-time. A reminder, you can see those tries at full time here at the KCOM Stadium, where the half-time scoreline makes a very unhappy reading for a Hull FC side who have won 4 of their last 5. They're going up against the second place Warrington Wolves, and it is the first 40 minutes that has been absolutely dominated by the visitors. Blake Austin with a hat-trick, Josh Charnley with 2, Darrell Clark crossing before a late Albert Kelly try. Well, I won't even say it'll have given the Hull FC some hope. More on that shortly. Here are the half-time stats. Weight of possession in favour of the Warrington Wolves. Tackles made almost 50 less than just over 50 less than Hull FC. 200 more metres for the visitors and 20 more carries. Lee Radford got it right pre-game. He said, we are massive underdogs going into this game, and his side have played like massive underdogs. An animated coach doing his very best to rally his side, who have a 28-point half-time deficit to try and recover from. Down the corridor pre-game, he couldn't find the home dressing rooms. Well, his side have certainly, or the away dressing rooms, his side have certainly found their way into this game. Austin opened the scoring for Steve Price's side, and then it just was an avalanche of tries after that. Great first 40 minutes from the Warrington Wolves. Steve Price will no doubt be looking for more of the same in the second 40 minutes. John Wells, that is easier said than done, producing such a competent first 40 minutes again in the second half.
It's been close to a masterclass, hasn't it? And the statistics are strange just looking back at those. They're not massively weighted towards one side, but what Warrington are doing is ripping through the middle of that Hull FC defence. So that when missed tackles are really being magnified, they're pretty much ending up in tries the entire time. Lee Radford's got a very difficult job to remotivate his side, because these are two teams playing a class apart at the moment.
We are seeing Blake Austin open the scoring. We are seeing why they paid so much for Blake Austin. Such a handful, such a strong runner of the ball. The interchange in passing is something you're going to pick up between the forwards.
Yeah, they've been exceptional, that forward pack led by Chris Hill. But this is what Blake Austin was always a runner first and a ball player second, and that's why he's so dangerous. Darrell Clark out the base of the ruck on 10 minutes. That took the scores out to 12-0, and they were almost going a point a minute by the time Austin scored for his second.
Then Josh Charnley kicked in with his first effort of the night. He got 2 in the first half. You get it out to Josh, there's only going to be one result.
Beautiful work by Jack Hughes in the build-up. Lovely in and away on Jordan Thompson, and then the overlap found Charnley in the corner. He get his second a couple of minutes later. A steepling bomb from Blake Austin, who's pulled the strings everywhere, hasn't he? Put down by Josh Griffin. He'll be unhappy with that and a walk-in for Charnley.
Hull FC's defence for Blake Austin's second try pulled apart far too easily.
Yes, it was, and this his hat-trick try. This one came on just after the half-hour mark, and sold another outrageous dummy and a step. That's the beauty of him. He's such a well-balanced athlete, and that all culminated the first half in, I was saying to you off camera, can we call that a consolation try?
Well, you were also saying to me off camera, you were reminding me about last week when they led 28-6 the Warrington Wolves against Wakefield on the 56-57 minute mark. I'm not suggesting that's going to happen again, but we will look to see how ruthless Warrington will be in the second 40 minutes, considering how they let that game almost slip away from them last week.
And that would have been, I would imagine, the main focus of Steve Price's conversation with the boys during the week, is keeping that motivation when you have blown a side away. And that's what they've done. They've blown Hull FC away in this first
From a Warrington Wolves perspective, a first half of highlights, what caught your eye?
Got to be Blake Austin's second try. Not just because of the dummy which led to it, but also because of the build-up play. The build-up play was excellent. There was a couple of things in here that are worthy of note. The interplay between the forwards pre-line is exceptional. It's something that has become more and more natural looking for them. There's something that I'm going to pick up on here. Blake Austin's made a move. He's made a move inside, and he highlights something. It's the area around the ruck that's going to be filled in. This sort of area here. Now, I don't know whether it's a person, don't know whether it's a space or a combination of everything else. But the result of that is that there's a play going to go on. So there's Austin telling Chris Hill. Chris Hill's relaying on the inside now to Stefan Ratchford. Chris Hill's going to take the ball now. They're assuming 2 markers. They're assuming a decent level of competency in the ruck. So you would normally expect 2 markers to be filling this space. Taylor's gone. He's on his way back here because he's the third man, the latest off. They've left Houghton on the floor. It actually ends up being better and easier than they thought it was going to be.
So they're confident of running this play with 2 markers set as well, so it gets even better, as you say. Describe that.
Yeah. So you would normally expect the first marker to come out to Chris Hill. They're expecting, or they're banking on the second marker folding in and not working, which would produce that gap. What is special, though, is how the players flood through on the back of that and chief among those is Blake Austin. He doesn't get the ball there, but you look now at the setup. This is the other thing that really, really impresses me. You've got guys here now already in position, already organising things out wide, and that's from a defence that's been blown apart. That's what's been, those little details. So from a high kick and the kick chase, from the end of the sets and how they follow up and defend the next play, that's what they're doing better than most sides in Super League.
Worryingly for Hull FC, there's another 40 minutes left. How ugly could this get?
Well, I'll tell you how ugly, because this is a fantastic dummy, but Blake Austin, again, he doesn't do things by accident. This is I think, because what he's seen with that Darrell Clarke had done from dummy half earlier. Minicello is losing his hips here, and it's understandable. I mean, he spent the entire first 40 minutes scrambling, running around, very little time to compose yourself. He's already on his way out to try and solve a problem out wide, and Blake Austin actually gets inside the next defender, Jordan Thompson, to score underneath the sticks.
All right, second half.
More of the same, unfortunately. I don't see how they pull this back. The only thing that will even this game up is Warrington doing what they did last week and allowing the opposition to come onto them.
Well, there was a very nice shirt presentation from Hull FC to Eddie Hemmings before the game to mark his upcoming retirement. They may need to get Eddie out of retirement, get that shirt on his back. It has just gone all the way of the visitors. 34 points to 6 at half-time. First half hat-trick for Blake Austin. Can he build on that? What have Hull FC got in front of their home supporters? Second half on the way.
That was an absolute wicked kick, that.
Anyone? Have to find her before she finds us.
Do you know how dangerous she is?
Why do they want me?
Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in the cage.
She's met as Sophia.
Just a rat in the cage.
Confusion. To beat your renewal quote guarantee, don't be confused. BeConfused.com.
Those your first 4 scorers?
All right, special one. You pick them. You pick them. You pick them. You pick them. Ah, challenge accepted. Brain cells, current prize money?
200 grand this week, Hunch.
Score a stats hunch? It's hunch time.
1, Fabinho. 2, Vardy. 3, Sterling. 4, Harry.
Kane. Heed your hunch with Betway's 4 to score for a chance to win 200 grand this week.
At Green Flag, we think the AA are great. Like us, they've won bucketfuls of awards. And like us, they'll give you unlimited call-outs whenever you get in a pickle. And like Green Flag, they cover the whole of the UK. Isn't that great? But at Green Flag, you get all this at half the price of your AA renewal quote. Green Flag, common sense to the rescue.
Look at me. We all do bad things sometimes. The darkness is coming for us all. We'll face it together.
The running gathers pace with 2 crunch fixtures in the title race as Fulham take on Man City and Liverpool host Tottenham, live on Sky Sports Premier League.
Brown misses it. Gelling over the top.
Here's Bateman stepping and almost away. He is away. Nickel Klokstad is there with him.
Hogger comes up and makes a try-saving tackle. It goes back from right in front. Sam Williams makes it a 7-point lead.
Well, that was the golden moment of this morning's coverage from the NRL. We'll carry on tomorrow with North Queensland against Cronulla at 6:25 on Sky Sports Arena. Don't miss that. And an interesting line that came out of the commentary this morning from the Aussie commentators. They mentioned the fact that there are 4 Englishmen at Canberra these days. John Bateman, ex-Wigan, of course, one of them. The commentators said that they've got a 5th on the way for next year. And they've blown the gaff that George Williams is supposed to be going. I don't know what they will say at Wigan about all of that. But that was what they said in the commentary this morning. But hey, you know what commentators and pundits are like. They don't usually get things 100%. Wigan Warriors will be hoping their supporters that's the case. What is 100% is the fact that Lee Radford has got a job on his hands and has delivered the half-time speech. And Stephen Price will be hoping that lightning doesn't strike twice here to his Warrington side, and that they don't fall away dramatically in the second half as they did last week against Wakefield. We shall see.
Well,
Warrington with first use of the ball.
A lot of talk pre-game about the last year's performance in the Super 8 when Hull FC lost the game 80 points to 10. Well, 80 points to 10. Well, this scoreline was exactly the same as it was last year. So ominous signs could be there for Hull FC. They need a better performance. I know they scored with 3 minutes to go in the first half, but the performance just wasn't good enough for 37 minutes.
Jason Clark with a problem early in the second half here.
4, Mitchell, get square. Hold the Andre.
This is Cooper, who eventually gets to his feet, plays it to Clark. And Blake Austin finds Stefan Ratchford, and Ratchford's on his way. They're going to start the second half in the same way as they finish the first. Look at this from Murdoch Masilla. 55 seconds on the watch. The coach's face is wreathed in smiles. And Ben Murdoch Masilla, well, that just about puts the bin lid on it, I think, for Hull. So early in the second half, 38 points to 6. What about that from Ben Murdoch Masilla?
Well, that was terrible defence from Hull FC. Your first set of 6, you've got to defend. You've got to give yourself a chance of getting back in the game. On the first shift, Warrington go to their right-hand side, and everything's at speed. Stefan Ratchford goes through a gap there as though there's nobody around within 5-10 metres of him. And as soon as you give this man an early ball, there's not anybody in that Hull FC side that's going to stop him. Look at that, he goes through, nobody touches him. He's got a 2-on-1 at the back, gives it to Ben Murdoch Masilla. And like I said, good luck trying to stop that man.
It was Jordan Thompson in the defensive line of Hull FC who buys the dummy. The space is created to the delight of the coach, Steve Price. He'll want a ruthless edge to this Warrington side. He'll want them not to concede and keep scoring goals, keep scoring tries and goals, and keep that scoreboard ticking. I was a bit surprised when Jordan Thompson was named in the centre. I'm pretty sure he played at prop for the Leeds Rhinos at the back end of last year.
Well, Ratchford adds the extras. They're up to the 40-point mark. It's all going according to plan for Steve Price. Bill Arthur, I don't think it is for Lee Radford.
Eddie, Steve Price said as he came out of the Warrington dressing room, I just want them to be ruthless. Don't let up. Carry on what they've been doing so brilliantly in the first 40 minutes. And they have taken him at his word and done just that at the start of this second half. Although then they've immediately put the ball down. Deck Patton has not taken that restart, so at least Hull FC will get their hands on the ball at the start of this second half. Lee Radford came out the Hull dressing room, walked past me, said, "You don't want to know," when I asked him what he'd said to his side. And the one thing that he did say is defensive, that they have been frail. Well, we've seen that already in the second half, but their man-on-man defence has not been strong enough. They've been defending in isolation. They've got to do it collectively if they're going to stop this Warrington Wolves side. Doesn't look as though they can, but can they salvage some pride?
Well, that was on the first tackle, the hit by Tom Lynham, and Lee Radford's problems just get worse and worse. Head and feed at the scrum. Beretta, Farimo, usually so safe, so sound, so solid. Look at that. drops it cold. And it's going to be one of those nights, I'm afraid, for Hull.
Every single player in a primrose and blue shirt came in to congratulate the defensive effort. They've got a good team spirit here. It's easy to have team spirit when you're 40 points to 6 up. And you can see Spirit is a little bit deflated, although...
She's giving you away, Barry.
Yeah.
She's on the phone, though. She's sending a text saying, we're getting beaten. I'm going to be home early.
But you can't do it when you're the man on the field.
No.
Those 17
it's
players...
very tough now for Hull, though, isn't it? It really is tough.
Those 17 players almost have to get the scoreboard out of their mind. Don't worry about the 40 points that are against you. Just do your job, do it well, and hope by a miracle that Warrington start to drop off.
Toby King for Warrington down the right-hand side. They do make ground every time they have the ball in their hands. Remember, they started this in the scrum 10 metres out. And this pattern kick is going to take them right to the whole line. And there's a great chase on here. Oh, you never let it bounce. You don't let it bounce. Well, they are fortunate that Cervellia was the man in the right place at the right time.
Well, that's his job as the fullback, isn't he, Maludi? Seen him do some brilliant things, but when that ball goes up in the air, you can't pull out of catching it. You can't pull out of catching that ball just because there's Warrington players in front of you.
Well, his first appearance this year was on the wing, Hakim Maludi. He's known more as a winger, but of course Jamie Shaw's absence gives Lee Radford an almighty problem.
Hold. Go for.
Here is Albert Kelly. On his feet, Kelly always is. He won't give it up. Neither will Westerman against his former club. This is Twin McBarvey. But they just bunched around the man in possession. So many black shirts there. And here is Griffin now. Toby King deals with the threat, and the ball is lost again on the last. Who would be a coach?
Yeah, not a chance. So they get to the last tackle, but they can't get the kick in and make it a competition by sticking it in the air and putting a Warrington defender under pressure on his own try line. The mistakes that they're making, simple mistakes. Yeah, it's not near their try line. It's up near Warrington's line, but doesn't help their efforts.
It's very hard to say Warrington do look like their improved outfit from last year, but if there was one player I'd pick out who's probably improved more than most, it's Toby King, the century, just came up with that tackle. Number 18 on his back. He seems to me the one who's responded to the coaching, the advice he's receiving, on the maturity, the time in his career. He really has improved. He's starting to look now like a very important contributor to this team rather than just a member of it.
Well, the red heart of this city will be fairly pleased with the way things are going at St Helens. Hull KR, as you just saw on the right-hand side of your screen, they are leading by 24 points to 18 now in this second half. And as the black and whites here are going through the horrors, they're trailing by 34 points. 47 minutes to go. It's going to be a long night in the office, this, and even longer here because they've conceded a penalty.
Well, in the previous play, then you could see Darryl Clark. He's gesturing. He puts his hand out and he's gesturing towards the ruck. Come close to the ruck. We've got him round the ruck. Don't go away from it. We don't need to go wide. They're just trying to take the battle to Hull FC up the middle of the field, and then they will find some space on the edge.
Well, they've met 50 times in Super League since May 1998. Warrington won the very first meeting at the old Boulevard ground, 32-28. All those years ago.
On the mark, Ben.
What a place the Boulevard was. My goodness.
You never had the delight of climbing the ladder that was attached to the wall of the threatening stand and walking across
You probably never had the pleasure of being sent off though either.
I got sent off and swore and spat at. I think I trump. I think I win.
Well, that was your own teammates that did that. Here, good hands from Mama. Oh, it was forward though to Lynham.
They did go forward, Eddie, but Barry mentioned it in the first half, just how quick the hands are, whether it's Stefan Ratchford linking up and chiming into the line at the back, or like I said, Jake Marmore, who showed up well, hasn't he, in a Warrington jersey, on the wing, scoring plenty of tries, and under a lot of pressure there, but still manages to get the ball away. But unfortunately for Warrington, Steve Price just drifts forward.
A couple of weeks ago, Wakefield came here and won by 32 points to 12.
The man down, guys. Time is off.
Matongo is just out the back.
Yeah, Matongo's getting some treatment under the sticks. The black and whites got back to winning ways last weekend in London, and you think Wakefield were the big winners against Hull last year as well. So Hull were out for revenge against Wakefield as well. It didn't go quite according to plan. It's gone anything but according to plan for them tonight. Here's Thompson again.
Well, they need some options here in place to roll the sleeves up.
Hold, go.
I mean, you mentioned before, Barry, that you didn't expect to see Jordan Thompson named in the centres. I think it's needs must.
Absolutely, yeah.
You say that, Eddie. If you think back about this whole squad, they've got players like Jack Logan, Nick Rawsthorne, Cam Scott, Brad Fash, Jensen Turgid, all players who've played in the first team in recent years. Obviously, the club have released for whatever reason. They don't think they're right for them. So they've had players who've been in the system for years, but not been able to get them to transition successfely into regular first-team members. There's all get a penalty. Albert Kelly and Bray, they're taking his team downfield.
Jason Clark a little bit late on the floor. Well, a chance here for Hull to get some more points on the board. That's what their supporters hope. As Kelly gets the ball away to Cervello. A difficult night for him. Cervello only signed this week. Injury-wrecked year in the NRL. Hardly trained with them. Not his fault. This is Griffin. Gets the ball away. And Thompson is just held up short of the line. Maludi. Now Sneed. Matongo.
Still two.
Brings the ball back.
Still two.
What can they do here with Dean Hadley?
Move!
Not a lot. They lose a few metres. Now they'll try and make some more ground forward with Kelly. Well, he's dropped it, I think.
A basic mistake again from Hull FC. A little bit of fatigue coming into play now, but it's difficult for the offloaders. We saw Matongo turn round. He offloads a ball to nobody, because the consequence of getting that offload wrong means more defence than they've done. Far too much defending already. You talked about Cervello coming into the side, only trained with his team a couple of times. An offloader is only as good as his support players, and at the minute the black and whites are too anxious to put themselves in the frame to collect one of those offloads.
You need to get in.
Well, there's going to be a bit of problems here for somebody. The shot clock just been called off. 3 seconds remaining on the clock there.
Move. Hold, go.
It's the offload you're talking about, Barry. It's just anywhere.
Look. Everyone's just stood around. Nobody's really offering themselves, pushing up.
Go. Just
Every time that Warrington get the ball and go into contact and look to offload, there's somebody there. Look, Darryl Clark's there, ready to pounce on that offload and go again.
Hold.
Then Murdoch Masilla has left the field. I think he's taken a bang on the head. He's gone off for a check by the medical staff.
Go.
And so Harvey Levette has come on.
Early kick on the fourth there from Warrington. Challenging Hull FC. And the kick chase team is good enough. Really disciplined approach. They can see the open space, put a quality kick in, and defend off the back of that.
Just 10 metres.
Maludi again.
2. Move back, make me. Go.
Gets to his feet and plays the ball to Twimavavi. Loses the ball again. Warrington get it back easily, don't they?
Can't just come up with mistakes or simple yardage plays when you're so many points behind.
Bobby King goes wide to Josh Charnley. Dean Hadley got to him. Finished him off on the floor.
Go, 0.
6 to go from here. That was the 0 tackle. Livette will be anxious to make a point to his coach.
Simple drop from Twimavavi then, under pressure from 3 defenders.
Livette missed the last 5 matches. All square at St Helens meanwhile. As Austin goes for the line again, it's 4. It's 4 for Blake Austin. It's 44 for Warrington. And Blake Austin's got 4 tries in the match. By the looks of things, in the opening 8 rounds of the season, it's money well spent.
Well, he is the real deal, isn't he? The attacking player that he is, Blake Austin, but you can just look at the faces those Hull FC players. They are absolutely shell-shocked. The offloading game from the forwards And Mike Cooper has caused problems all year. 5 offloads last week he got against Wakefield. You can see that Darryl Clark, he's there ready to pounce on that offload, and straight away they're looking to play.
How many dummies has Blake Austin sold to this whole team tonight?
He's a runner, isn't he? Every time he gets the ball, he wants to attack the line. So once he dummies that ball, he just goes at the defenders.
And the reason he can sell that dummy, and it is bought by the defenders, is those Warrington players putting themselves in a position. I talked about offloaders only being as good as the support players. Look at the Warrington shirts in the frame, offering themselves. So that means that he's got a one-on-one, and Blake Austin, you'd back him 9 times out of 10, come out on the better side of that one-on-one.
I think, Eddie, it's more than the dummy. I think he's a bit like Ben Barber. I think he's deceptively strong. We think that maybe the dummy has an impact. He's breaking through the tackles. The players couldn't stop Ben Barber last year. I don't think they can stop Blake Austin. I think physically he rides through tackles.
Radford added 2 more points to the total. Warrington will be hoping that Blake Austin stays on the rails and doesn't do a Ben Barber in 2019, because something went badly wrong for Ben Barber at St. Helens.
The season's a long time, isn't it? And at this time last year, Ben Barber was doing what he's doing.
He was man of steel. You're right, he was man of steel this time last year. Who's got the man of the match vote tonight?
It is myself. It's an easy one.
It is, yeah.
It's an easy one.
It'll be Chris Hill or...
He's not sending Bill Arthur on now.
He looks for the number 29 on the whole side.
I've been waiting for him to get on. I've heard he's a powerful runner with good leg drive after contact, especially when he gets tackled and runs away all the way back home.
Can you score an own try in rugby league? Like an own goal in footy?
Well, you certainly give it a go, wouldn't you?
Definitely. Here is Clark. He gets it to Austin again, and Toby King breaks another tackle. This is Charnley. It's time they deal with the threat. Charnley quick to his feet. He didn't like that from Maludi.
He loves a wrestle after he's been tackled, doesn't he, Josh Charnley?
Crossfield kick here. Knocked back. Oh, it's Jason Clark. It's a 0 tackle. It's Jake Mamo. Lost the balls, and it's actually a penalty. He offloaded the ball on the floor, did Jake Mamo.
Perhaps he didn't know that it was a 0 tackle, did he? I mean, very hard in that incident to know whether the referee has wiped it for 6 more players. You can see the tackle's clearly over.
And he did. It was a good read by Robert Hicks, that. He did do that.
He thinks he's playing the other club there, doesn't he?
Back here. Mama, watch your legs. Don't flash out. Hold. Time off.
It's funny how you can offload after the referee shouted out, they give it you back and have another go, don't they? But in that instance, no, they don't. So it seems a bit of a contradiction to me.
Give him a break, Phil. Let Hull City have a go with the ball. Holy moly.
1. Move now. Hold. Go on.
Well, it's a remarkable win for Warrington in many ways because of their recent record on this ground. And I say it's a win. I don't think there's anyone in any doubt that they're going to win now tonight. Because you know, they went unbeaten on 8 occasions between 2008 and 2015. Swimmer Barbie here, but they have lost 3 of the last 4 visits to this ground, Warrington. This is Kelly. Kelly eventually goes down, resisted the challenges for as long as he could. It's Houghton. Here is Westerman. Gets the ball away, and it's Mickey Paya. Danny Houghton, by the way, was there at dummy half. What a night to say you're playing your 300th Super League game for your club. Mark Sneed gets the ball away to Griffin. Griffin going for the line, and he lost that.
I think when Joe Westerman just picked Mickey Paya out, then there was nobody out the back. There's not enough movement. There's not enough decent attacking shape for Hull FC, even when they're down there, Warrington line. And let's give credit to Warrington as well. They are defending well, aren't they?
Let's go back 30 seconds. That tackle by Stefan Ratchford to stop Tumavavi scoring was outstanding play there, really. Hull had broken the line. Good sides convert the breaks into tries, but great teams are able to prevent their opponent scoring, and that's a sign just how well Stefan Ratchford and Warrington are playing.
That is the second break that Hull FC have made in the game. It didn't result in points, and you know how many breaks Warrington have made? Clean line breaks. 2.
Josh Charlie earning his side another penalty here. I said before, he loves to wrestle, loves getting tangled up with those defenders.
Chris Hill back on the field. Jason Clark and Mike Cooper have gone off. I saw Joe Philbin coming back on as well. And here is Joe. We've got a very good squad, Warrington. Lamatazi is on the bench as well tonight. I don't think we've seen him yet, have we, Lamatazi? Oh, there he is, number 16. He's on now. Or he's been on a while, I've just missed him.
3, move, Dean!
But they've got a really good squad.
Hold.
Depth and competition for places, it's the secret to a very successful side.
Philbin looking over his shoulder, trying to offload again.
Goal line. Line, Nicky. Go.
Here's Clark, now it's Hill again. Back it comes to Patton. Curry, good hands, Marmo. Josh Charnley heading for the line. Oh, he's got that down, has he? Has Josh Charnley got that down? It's Lynham, I beg your pardon, it's Tom Lynham.
It's tackle 4.
I think he gets this down, Eddie.
I have a try.
Yeah, I think he does. This will be a sweet moment for Tom Lynham. It really will. Because he's on the ground where he was a bit of a star not too long ago, and I'm sure I saw it go down on the ground, albeit I had the wrong man.
Well, what Warrington certainly have got, they've got 2 strong, powerful wingers, haven't they? Yeah, you can see the arm free there, he gets the ball, there's no problem. He gets the ball down on the line. 4 defenders couldn't prevent him from getting over that try line as well. Look at the leg drive here, trying to get down as quick as he can, so he can't be dominated. Yeah, no problem.
I don't know whether it's good luck or good management. He resists the temptation to bring it away from his chest with all those defenders around. He might have got it knocked out of his hand. He falls over the line. You can see his torso there is around about the line, no doubt about the try. I think you can safely say for anybody up here, in the latest Warrington Wolves try.
Indeed, 50 up for the Warrington Wolves here. Let's look at Green. Lynham gets in on the scoring act. 3rd try of the second half. 9th try in all.
Well,
Dominant.
A period out to the side was going to bring you back with the determination. Those supporters are the ones who came in subarctic conditions last year. We'll remember it's a happier night. This March, they're just scoring for fun, aren't they? With brilliant passes. Jake Mamo, some people wondered whether he could play centre. His catch and pass was outstanding there. And then the finish. I've said before, Josh Charnley converts his chances. Well, Tom Lynham's not had many. But his determination, this is embarrassing for him. 4 men can't stop him from scoring 4 more points.
Like with all organisations, there's many people that contribute. You can see Lee Breers at the side of his coach there, but Eddie Gardner joined the Warrington Wolves club. He's the conditioner now, head conditioner. John Clark went over to England Rugby Union, and Eddie Jones gave the Warrington Wolves a visit this week. But Eddie Gardner, by all accounts, has come in, really added to the environment. You can see there always a smile on his face. And sometimes it's not that a member of staff isn't good at what they're doing, it's sometimes a change of voice, a change of technique. I think Eddie Gardner deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, he does. He had big shoes to fill with John Clark, who's probably on his way to a knighthood now. Sir John.
Move now. Hold.
He'll be hoping so anyway.
Absolutely.
Go on.
Lamatazi.
Well, let's see how they finish this game off. Remember this time last year, they started this time last week, conceded a few tries. Final 20 again, promoting that ball. When they are promoting the ball, they're nailing the passes as well.
Yeah, everything's sticking for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as poor as Hull have been defensively, Warrington, everything is stuck. It's stuck like glue.
I think the way that they're attacking, they're making Hull FC look poor, Eddie.
What's exciting for me?
Philbin, he steps out of the challengers game. There's the offload to Darrell Clark. And the touch judge fancied a try.
I think it's fair to say that this is the first night where we've got some warmer weather. It's dry, the conditions are good, it's a fantastic surface to play on. And Warrington have treated us here to some outstanding rugby. I said in the first 5 minutes, the width with which they played, the speed and skill that they demonstrated, really they've now taken the game to another level, and it's up to the likes of people like Hull and the rest to try and get up to that, because we're going to see here now, generally at time as we approach Easter, we get a dry period, some firm grounds, and it's the faster, more skillful teams who start to separate themselves from the rest of the league.
And Easter's a point in the season, and it makes and breaks teams. They've got those backing up of games whether they play Thursday or Friday. And then on Monday, and it really sorts out the contenders.
Hold me.
And the also-rans.
It does, and St Helens are ahead. Latest news we have against Hull Kingston Rovers. Warrington are winning in a canter here. And I think I'm right in saying that before I depart the scene, on April the 12th, the week before Good Friday, it's Saints and Warrington we will be seeing.
Yeah, we're going to see Saints in the next
That's
two
a night
games.
to remember.
We get to see them play Catalan, we get to see them play Warrington and Wigan on that Good Friday clash.
There you go. Let's go down to Bill on the sideline.
Hold.
Ben Murdoch-Masilla's going to look a picture in the wedding photos tomorrow because he's got a nasty gash under his eye. He's going to have stitches after the game, but he's got plenty to smile about. It's not going to spoil the big day for Big Ben.
That's an interesting way to spend your stag night, isn't it?
To Hull and back. There's another foot and horses one.
To Hull and back and then get yourself in a fight and go home with a few stitches underneath your eye.
A bit like my stag do.
Yeah. It's a bit like a normal Friday night for you, Barry.
Come on, guys.
Once upon a time, Eddie.
On the line,
Barry's
please.
dead now.
I know. You're a
much better.
reformed character.
I'm much better. Do you think so?
Okay, have it.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the photographer makes of all that tomorrow.
Okay.
Best of luck to Ben.
Wants to have a word with Jackie,
And
our makeup
Roxy
artist.
Noura he is marrying, by the way. She's the captain of the Warrington Wolves women's team.
Very good.
Go on.
You get married.
Did you
Ben.
get an invite? I never got the invite.
No.
Was lost in the post, mine, I
No.
think. It's all right, I'm busy.
Two. Move.
Well, like I said, we'll get in
Go.
the name of our
Say
makeup
that,
artist,
Jordan.
Jackie. I'm sure she can do a job on him if she can make O'Connor look half decent.
3. Move. Back up. Go.
No answer to that one, have you?
There's no answer either for Hull, is it, to this
4.
relentless approach
Move.
from
Keep coming
Warrington.
to me.
The speed with
Hold
which they're
now,
hitting the
hold.
ball over the
Go.
advantage
Better.
line. Again, with Hill rolling forward. Brilliant pass, well taken by Austin.
Very well taken by Austin. He feeds Harvey Levette, and Harvey Levette gets through yet another tackle. I just wonder what the missed tackle count is reading right now for Hull FC. Must be alarming, I would think. As here comes Toby King.
Try.
Fantastic stuff. A hat-trick now for Josh Charnley. Josh Charnley gets a hat-trick, one behind Blake Austin. He's giving the man of the match judge a run for his money.
Well, this is just too clever, too smart. We've seen them do this before. Change of direction in any sport, football or rugby, usually catches their opponents out. And just when Hull thought the ball was going to come all the way back over to the left, it's one quick pass this way, skip and change, and Austin sees they've got 2v1.
Another dummy from Austin.
I don't think, even though Josh Charnley's played excellent, the same can be said of a lot of his teammates. It's that man who's pulled the strings. He knows exactly what he's doing. His teammates can read him. There's a good synergy between everybody and reactions to the great man at number 6 when he wants and expects somebody to pop up. I agree with Phil. Toby King having a stellar year. I like the look of him in the second row, Toby King, but he's playing centre tonight and he's getting a round of applause.
Lee Breers, yeah, the old swing-back switch play got them there again.
Well, 10 tries, 5 try scorers. That man's got a hat-trick. Blake Austin's got 4. The rest have come from Lynham, Darrell Clark and the bridegroom, Ben Murdoch-Masilla.
Difficult, isn't it, for Hull FC now? Warrington are absolutely on fire.
Stefan Ratchford's been kicking well as well. It's all come together tonight here in East Yorkshire for the Warrington Wolves. There's another 2 points. 56 to 6.
Heading towards that 80-point mark, aren't they? And the way that they're playing. Well, Josh Charnley is good value, isn't he? Every time he gets the ball, he earns penalties as well. He's strong, bringing the ball back. Certainly knows how to finish those tries. Exciting player.
Wasn't terribly impressed with Scott Taylor's attempt.
You asked before as well, Eddie, about how many missed tackles that Hull FC have missed. 25 missed tackles in this game.
And Warrington have only missed 8. So they've been on the money with and without the ball.
It's Joe Philbin as the offload went through the legs of Dec Patton. Stefan Ratchford almost gave himself up. Everything Warrington are trying tonight is coming off for them.
But you just look at the amount of times that they get their hands free and the people that are supporting Eddie. It's so much easier. Whether it's a loose offload, there is somebody there that's going to pick it up.
Toby King again. Well, nights like this, we always look at the record books, record home defeats for Hull FC. Just hang on a second. And they're flicking the ball around. Record home defeats, 56-12. They lost against Wigan in 2012. 54-18 against Salford in 2017. This ranks alongside that. In fact, it's a better winning margin on both occasions at the moment. Could be a record home defeat they're going to suffer here tonight.
They get the penalty for the ball steal. 2 men in the tackle. Jake Marmor was the man penalised.
Well, there's 13 minutes of agony for Hull and their supporters to suffer as St Helens increase the lead against Hull Kingston Rovers. Sounds like it's been a good fight by Hull KR. And the two changes made by Justin Holbrook tonight. Still a decent side they've put out there, obviously. Here is Mickey Payer.
Joe, back Lama, Ben, hold me, Jake.
You'll see all the tries, by the way, from the Saints Hull Kingston Rovers match once this game is over. This is Twim Varvey. Again, Warrington muscling up in defence.
Tom, line, go.
Farimo off the ground and finds Kelly. Kelly thought about the long pass, but Philbin had moved up to cut that out, so thought better of it. Gives it to Westerman. Westerman then finds Kelly again. Kelly brings Griffin into the play.
Move, Ben. Go.
Houghton. Sneed. Good run. Could be a try. It is a try. And it's Jordan Lane. Shows what they can do. But too little, too late. But Jordan Lane gets his second try of the season.
Well, a decent run from the second rower. Mark Sneed going across. He had Albert Kelly as a foil on his right shoulder. And while everybody was distracted with Albert Kelly, the young back rower goes through the line. I'm just looking at this Warrington side. They look like they're shuffling people around at the minute. Jake Mamo's having a little bit of a spell at fullback. Played a lot of his rugby league at Huddersfield Giants in the fullback position. Named on the wing. I beg your pardon, named in the centre this evening, but it's a chance for Warrington to just try things, experiment, and hope that it goes well. Work on things they've worked on during the week and see how they look in real time.
Here's Mark Sneed to try and add the extra two, which he does with ease. The Jordan Lane try, by the way, it enjoys the cameras because Jordan Lane's first try came against Castleford when we were last here, and his second try has come tonight. 12:56 though.
Well, I suppose the sooner Hull start to recover, which they're doing here now in these last 10 minutes, the sooner they can maybe start to think about putting the season back together. He's important, Jake Connor, the man there in the middle of your screen. I said before the match, he's a team changer, not just a game changer. If they can get him out onto the field, he can have such an impact. I do think he's one of the best players potentially in this league at his very best, and Hull are desperate for a player of his ability.
And Shaw and Talanoa as well, all missing. Plus they've got their winger who's got 4 tries. Ratu Nulago, he is out as well. Connor's injured.
Go on.
Tough assignment. Later score, Saints look like they might be home and hosed. Their lead will be maintained at the top of the table, but Warrington snapping at their heels. And this result tonight, providing they don't do anything silly in the last 10 minutes, Warrington, and concede 2 or 3 more tries, this will do their points difference of power good.
Well, it's obviously been a dominant performance, hasn't it? But you look at this Hull FC side, and some of the senior players have been very sporadic in the performances here. I mean, a lot of them are just standing back, looking at teammates around them. Who's going to step up? Who's going to try and do something? Well, defensively, the structure of Warrington's been very good. And Albert Kelly, for me, has not been involved in this game. Apart from a couple of runs that he's took the defensive line up, he's not done enough work.
He's behind the pack that's getting hammered.
Well, he is, Eddie, but you look at Warrington, you look at Blake Austin, whether they're playing in good field position or not, they attack the line, they attack the line at speed.
And I don't know how fit he is for this game. I watched that London Broncos game and he limped his way through the match. Ended up scoring a try where he had to put on and get in a bit of a canter. But he's largely spent the game limping. He doesn't look to be limping during this match, but I think you're right, Tez, he's had limited involvement.
Head in, shot clock off.
He only made 15 appearances last year, Albert Kelly, by the way. Formerly with Hull Kingston Rovers, of course. We whisper that quietly around here.
Well, sometimes, Eddie, you've just got to hold your hand up as a player and you're accountable for your performance. When you go training during the week, I'll guarantee you that players aren't dropping the balls. They aren't making those mistakes. They've got a lot of lone rangers now that are trying to solve problems themselves. Scott Taylor taking it upon himself to try and dislodge the ball from Lamatasi.
I think you've got to give Warrington a heap of credit tonight.
They've been brilliant. They've been absolutely brilliant.
Yes, they have. And they've made Hull look ordinary.
And you'll get that from Lee Radford as well. He's a very honest coach. He doesn't save his team and the players' blushes. There's almost for Harvey Livette. But what he'll do is he'll call them out. He'll say what he feels in the public domain. I've no doubt he keeps some stuff back. There's the kick going through. Fullback. Is it Josh Griffin? Doesn't deal with it, doesn't handle it. And Harvey Livette could have, but didn't get the try.
And Griffin just took the gamble there, didn't he, that it was going to go goal, and it did.
If he picks it up, there are chasers, and
he's over the line, and they get a goal line drop out there.
You're right, he's in his mind thinking, I've got to take this risk because we need the ball back.
This is Sneed. Misplaced pass again. Miludi gets to it though before.
They've missed the players that are injured. There's no doubt about that. But Jamie Shaw, when the ball goes round the back of those nice shapes that most teams put on, Jamie Shaw would be in the right position, would be there consistently. And they've missed his work rate. They've missed his danger and his unpredictability.
They've had a pretty grim run with injuries, haven't they, over the last 12 months
few years.
So. Yeah, certainly the last 2 seasons. Hello. They're human. They're human after all. Stefan Ratchford has lost that ball, and here is Sika Manu.
Can they finish off this game in positive manner now? 7 minutes to go.
Chimamavavi goes back to Griffin.
Move, goal line, Joe.
They're only 5 metres away. The black and whites. Griffin to his feet. Eventually, but not quick enough. Ratchford didn't allow him to get to his feet, so it's a penalty to Hull.
And they do need some quick play of the ball here. There goes Scott Taylor with a charge.
He's over the line, but then he's pulled back and pushed back. Houghton fires the pass to Kelly. Kelly gets it away to Farimo.
Has he lost that ball?
The ball is lost, they say, but Farimo has hold of it. Here's Kelly again. Into centre field to Westerman. Scott Taylor now. I mean, obviously they're a well-beaten side, but everything is just a little bit laboured. No one's hitting the ball at pace right now. Houghton, though, gives it to someone who does, Sika Manu. They'll be desperate, Warrington, to keep them to 12 points, if they can. Kelly, good hands. Oh, and he's intercepted. This is Tom Lynham. They're on the way for another one. Tom Lynham. They've given up the chase. Jordan Lane gives up the chase a long time ago, and Lynham gets his second try. And Warrington make it even worse for Hull FC. It's 60 points to 12.
Well, you're right, Eddie. Not enough Hull FC players offering themselves then to the ball player, and that's been the difference in this game.
He's been out of the side for a while, Tom Lynham, because Jake Mamo has been filling in so well. He's given Stephen Price a nudge tonight.
Well, he gets the opportunity and takes it in both hands. And like Barry said before, you want competition for places. That brings out the best in you. And Tom Lynham, well, he's there. He sticks his hand out. He knows he's got the speed, and you can see that there's nobody else chasing back from Hull FC. They're absolutely shell-shocked from the start of this game. Warrington have been well and truly in the faces in defence and coming up with the players in attack.
I think what he intelligently does with his left hand, he hits the ball in the air. A lot of people, when they go, just try and knock the ball down. You've obviously got no chance of intercepting it, but by knocking the ball up into the air, he gives himself a chance to take it in and then go to the length. Back in the side here, it's all smiles. With fun at times.
Well, they've had worse nights, those two, I think. This is a night to savour. We've got a DVD on the coach, and they'll have a look at this and enjoy it again on the way home. They will. They'll enjoy the trip back.
Time up.
And Ratchford, who's kicked well tonight, 8 from 10. This is as sure as you can say. Going to be 9 from 11.
Time up.
There you go. And we're in the last 5 minutes of the match, so referee calls time off. I bet that's music to Hull's ears.
I was just thinking the same thing. This has been a special performance by Warrington Wolves. Every player at his optimal standard. They're up against a very tired, shattered Hull FC side at this point.
Tom Lynham, by the way, sorry Barry, came into this match having scored 100 Super League tries, 50 in his days for Hull and 50 for Warrington. Well, he's edged ahead with his Warrington tally tonight, courtesy of the 2 he scored here.
2 moved in, kick coming, Jordan. Hold goal, well
As we do, we get to watch, and I watch, and I know my colleagues do, watch all the games, and you put yourself in the mind of the players, especially the ones on the negative side of that scoreboard.
That can't be done.
That can't.
You cannot do that. I control.
You can't take the law into your own hands.
You don't push him off.
Then Murdoch Masilla.
He nearly launches Mark Sneed into row Z.
It's like the Rock.
Yeah, straight away. Come on, ref, you can't do that to me.
Go away.
Well, he's powerful, but that's an illegal move from him.
I'll finish what I was saying about the Hull FC players. You've got a couple of minutes to go. You've been well beaten. And I've said it a few times, you don't want to be in review. You don't want to be one of those players where your coach and your teammates know that you give it up. They've not been good enough. They've been way short in virtually every department. But it's vitally important that they keep fighting until that final whistle. No white flags.
Well, it is. But there are certain times, and Saints have won 36-24 against Hull Kingston Rovers. There are certain times you just have to put your hands up and say,
yeah, you do.
It was one of those nights. Scott Taylor's trying to get another consolation. Look at the defence from Warrington.
Well, that was it, Eddie. You just seen that Toby King, he shot into that player then to try and dislodge the ball. And straight away, look at this, from defence to attack.
Toby King it is. He gets them over the halfway line. On a 0 tackle, so 6 to go from here.
Well, I think players like that come down to attitude, Eddie. The way you defend your try line. Here we go. Kick on the second.
They're
Kick on the first.
everything. Harvey Levet's after this. Chumabavi's pretty quick, but they're going to get a repeat set anyway.
It's brilliant.
So on the defence near their own try line, they stop Hull FC from scoring a try. The man who prevents the play in Toby King taps it quick. They get good field position. They kick on the front foot, and then all of a sudden, you've got Levet, you've got Lynham chasing up, putting Chumabavi under pressure.
They're on a different level, aren't they? 50-point advantage. They're desperate here. Look at that. They prevent him from scoring again. They get to the other end of the field here now. They still want to make one final change here. Looks as though Jake Mamo's going to limp off. Toby King down for that. Returns here now for the last 90 seconds or so.
And gets his hands on the ball immediately from the goal line dropout.
Your old colleague will be calling for a 1-pointer here then now, just to cap off a perfect evening for the Warrington fans.
I think he would. He'd be delighted if they could.
Well, in the age of this golden point era, it's not a bad scenario to practice for here if they had to get a drop goal.
We'll tell that to Castleford.
Well, Brian Canny spoke about it before, wasn't he? I mean, Blake Austin's sitting behind.
Jason Clark cut down by Kelly's challenge.
Here it is, Eddie.
Darryl Clark, back it comes. Blake Austin, you called it, Phil. Well, that just caps the lot.
That's good.
Steve-O will be on his feet in his lounge now, saying, yes, they listened to me.
Well, perfect position, wasn't he, Blake Austin?
Well, if they come to a close run thing later on in the season, there's the man.
To be fair though, Eddie, when you've already been beaten by 62 points to 12, you're not going to put pressure on. You're not going to expect him to come up with 1 point.
I think that's taking the mick.
Well, that man, Steve Price, he'll be happy, won't he? He'll be really pleased with the way that his side have responded, the way that his side have played all year. Professional performance from right the way to the end.
Very much so. In the last minute of the match now, Warrington with the ball in hand, they'll probably end up with it. And well, a black night for the black and whites, but a glorious night for Warrington. Absolutely tremendous display from them.
Go. I can't think of a bad player in a Warrington shirt. Everybody's done their bit. Some have shone more than others.
3, move.
try scorers, they obviously take the headlines, and everybody focuses on the bloke that puts the ball down over the white stripe, but players who do the little stuff, do the important stuff. Jason Clark again putting in a decent performance.
Are you moving away from a Blake Austin man of the match?
No. He's been in the middle of everything.
Well, Andrew Henderson, Stephen Price now at touch line, on the side of the pitch. It's all over. 80 points to 0. Hull's agony is ended. For Warrington, though, and those supporters, I think they wouldn't have minded if this game had gone on until midnight. It has been a vintage display from them. And that man, as Barry rightly said earlier on, has pulled all the strings, Blake Austin. He even managed a last-minute drop goal for good measure. They've won by 63 points to 12. And after last week's second-half fade-out against Wakefield Trinity, this has answered the critics emphatically.
Yeah, job done for the Warrington Wolves, and it's done in some style as well. I like to read the body language of players and the interaction with the coaches. And you saw Steve Price there, he just pulled the winger Tom Lynham over to the sideline with a big beaming smile on his face. He's able to keep a player in the 17 because he's played well. What that does, again, that ripples throughout the squad and lets the players know that aren't playing that you've got to be pretty special, not only to get in the side, but to stay in the side. And he's not having to rule this Warrington side with the stick. He's able to dangle the carrot. When you get in, if you play well, you stay in.
Well, the inquest will begin for Hull FC, and the celebrations will continue, I think, for the Warrington Wolves. Best of luck tomorrow with that eye for the wedding photos. Ben Murdoch Masilla. And I think it's about time that we named the Betfred Man of the Match. Guess who? Blake Austin is with Bill.
Blake, there you go. Silver salver for your efforts. That's your first four-timer, is it?
Yeah, I think it might be. And I think probably our first 80-minute performance this season. I think, you know, we've been really good in patches in a lot of games, but you know, to hold them to 12, we'll be pleased with that. And I thought our attack really flowed well tonight. Absolutely, and unlike last time out, you didn't take your foot off the gas. Yeah, look, we've obviously spoke a lot about last week. I thought our first half was the best we've played, but we probably shut up shop a little bit, and we wanted to rectify that tonight, and we were able to do that. So pleased with that. What do you think was the key to it being in 80 minutes? Everybody on their game, on the ball, all the way through. I think when you put together a first half like that, I think that the first 10-15 minutes of the second half's vital, and we were good at that tonight. We scored a try early. We're not always going to be able to do that, but when you can put points on early in the second half, we sort of sent a message that we were back and ready to play again. So I think that's the key. And you must be enjoying life. I mean, 7 tries this season now. I'm getting there. I think I've slowly sort of been building for that. I'm still learning a lot about the game over here. It's certainly a bit different back home, but I think as a team we're really heading in the right direction and comfortable with where we're at. And you're surrounded by some terrifically talented players, aren't you? Oh, right across the park, mate. If it's not Steph or Daryl, we've got really good middles that are charging the ball hard, but also got a lot of pass in their game now too. So we're not getting carried away. We understand we've still got improvement, but as I said, we're happy with where we're at, and we'll keep building on that. 4 tries, a drop goal as well, just as satisfying. I thought, obviously we're going to have some close games coming up, and there's a bit of an art form setting up for them field goals, and I thought it was a great opportunity to put one over with plenty of points up our sleeve. Just in case Golden Point comes up in the near future. We're going to be faced with that at some point, so vital to practice that. Blake, well done. You got a cheque for a charity of your choice as well. I gave to Save Our Sons last week. I'd like to give it to Joining Jack this week. Very similar charity. Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. It's, they're raising funds to find a cure for that. It's something that's close to my heart. So, yeah, to Joining Jack, please. Well done. Thank you. Well done to Stefan Ratchford as well, who kicked 9 from 11. That's not a bad return, Steph. Yeah, it'd be better it was 11 from 11, wouldn't it? Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was pretty good today, and a lot of the tries ended up a bit closer in. So yeah, I'm disappointed with the ones I missed, but we can never be perfect, can we? Coming off at half time, they'd scored that try. I'm sure I saw you kicking yourself because the last line of defence. I mean, and obviously
you don't want to concede. So has that taken any shine off? Surely not.
Yeah, I was a bit frustrated there. We spoke about it, he's pretty good at that right foot step and kind of overread the play and tried to get at the back too early, and he come back on me inside. So yeah, really,
You're not going to beat yourself up about that, are you?
Yeah, if anything, we'd probably take the negatives from that. And obviously, like I said, there was a lot of good in there today, but yeah, to concede right on half time, the way we did, and I'll hold my hand up there and kind of put the blame on me.
Would you agree with Blake that is probably the first full 80 minutes you've put together this season?
I think so, yeah. I mean, we spoke about it at half-time. Last week we put ourselves in a pretty good position at half-time. Went in, I think it was about 28-6 up at half-time, and obviously at the end last week we was kind of hanging on. So we actually said at half-time, we was in the same place last week, and I'm sure Hull would have been talking about that, saying, we can, we get a good spell against these, we can get them on the ropes. So we come out, second half and tried to make, really make a point of not opening the floodgates and kind of letting them back in, and I thought we did that quite well tonight.
And it must be a pretty good feeling in the camp to be on the sort of role that you are as well. You've got this great team selection consistency as well, the same 19 virtually every week.
Yeah, we're in a good place at the moment, and like I say, if you look at the boys that are missing out, I'll probably say they walk into any other Super League team or be on a bench spot at least. So yeah, we've got a really good squad at the moment, but the boys who are playing are really supportive of the boys who are playing, and they're ready to step up when need to be. And like I say, we're in a good place, but I think, like you say, at half time we can see that try just for half time. You can see how disappointed the boys were. So that shows we're in a good place, but we'll always say we've still got room for improvement. But yeah, tonight was probably the best 80 minutes so far, but like I said, we've still got things to work on.
Thanks, Stephen.
Cheers, Bill. Thank you.
Well, Steve Price is the Warrington coach, must be purring after that performance, because you wanted an 80 minutes. You got that.
Yeah, certainly. It was a great display by the boys. It's been coming for a little bit now, and there's some really good football play there, and I was just really pleased on what the middle's done, especially that first 20 minutes to set the platform.
You said at half time you wanted them just to continue. When they come out and score virtually from the restart, right, this is all going to plan.
Yeah, as I said last week, it's only early on in the season, it's a long season to go. So, but there's some really good football play. There was a lot of strong performances, and I thought we were really led really well by our captain tonight. I thought that's the best game he's played this season in Chris Hill, and Blake Austin I think was 4 tries, and it was a really good team performance.
When you sign a player like that and he has an impact already in the season like Blake Austin is having, that must be a coach's dream.
Yeah, I knew from day one when he first arrived how he integrated into the club straight away and embraced the town and his family just straight into their sporting and all the schooling system, and he's loving it. He's been a handy acquisition for us.
And that performance tonight was a peach.
Yeah, it was. It was a really dominant display, and that was most probably the best team lineup they've put out there for quite a while, quite some time. So it's a very pleasing result.
Keeping people's feet on the ground now is the trick, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that won't be hard.
Thanks, Steve. Chris Hill is the Warrington captain. You're not going to Ben Murdoch Masilla's wedding tomorrow, are you? Looking like that.
No, I think Jack Hughes jinxed him up way in. He said you're going to get a cut today, so it's wedding photos are spoilt, I think.
But I mean, you can't take the gloss off this performance, and as the captain of a side to do that away from home, it must be a very proud night.
Yeah, we knew when we got the good start. We knew Hull had come out far in second half, and they had spoke about the Wakefield result last week, and they come back and we had a spell, so we had a real focus on that 20 minutes after half time about putting the game to bed, and I thought Osto and Deck in the arse were outstanding.
Obviously, I mean, the Warrington supporters, on the back of this and the way things are going, expectations they're already high before a ball's been kicked. They'll be through the ceiling now, won't they?
Expectations always high at Warrington, and so it should be for the club we are. But we've just got to keep grounded. We'll take 1 week at a time, and it's London at home next Friday, and that's as far as we'll look. What
do you think the key is to a performance like this? Because it was relentless, wasn't it?
It was. It's probably best 70, I reckon. We've played. Hull are struggling with a couple of injuries, aren't they? And they're shifting people around, but we can only play what's in front of us. And I thought our game plan was outstanding tonight. And like I said, Blake and Deck really ran the show.
And having Blake Austin really polishing off all the work you guys in the middle do. That must be very rewarding.
Yeah, I'm glad it's just not me dummies in training. You know what I mean? He actually dummied me on that try. I was going to the corner celebrating, and he put it down under the post. But nah, he's a special talent, and giving the ball and letting him do what he does. And he's a really good bloke to have around as well.
Chris, thanks very much indeed.
Cheers, Will.
Yeah, happy Chris Hill after what his coach described as his best game of the year. Goes in to recover from a game that was very easy in the end for a rampant Warrington Wolves side. 11 tries, 9 conversions and 1 drop goal for good measure. That's the scoreboard. Let's have a look at the match statistics. 58% possession in favour of the Warrington Wolves. Higher completion rate, Hull FC 52%. There was 13 errors in that match. Tackles missed 29 to just 10 for the Warrington Wolves. Close to perfect 80 minutes performance. Okay, I left John Wells at half-time with the Wolves leading 34 points to 6. We said it is very difficult to back up a great first 40 minutes with a second 40 minutes. They did just that, focusing, they say, John, on those opening minutes of the second stanza.
Yeah, done the maths for you as well, Brian. We spoke about this, didn't we? 34 points to 6 first half. 29 points to 6 in the second half, so just a small drop-off as we have a look back at those first half tries, and they reprised the display, didn't they? Just 1 minute into the second half. Great line run initially from Ben Murdoch-Masila to put Steph Ratchford through the hole, and then he capitalised. That took them to the 40-point mark. They had to wait another 11 minutes for Blake Austin's fourth. That took the scores out to 6 points to 46. And lovely little dummy, drops the shoulder and improves the angle underneath the sticks. Tom Lynham next on the board, once of this parish, and has maybe in his head had got a little bit of making up to do. He was dropped for some below par performances earlier in the season. That was the first of 2 he scored. He sandwiched a Josh Charnley try, another little change of direction from Blake Austin, and all of a sudden that was 56 points to 6. There was some reply, it was brief, it was the only try that Hull FC scored in the second 40 minutes. Came from Jordan Lane, nice little move in the build-up from Mark Sneyd. That registered there 12, that was as good as it got for them. This is Lynham's second, lovely, well-timed knock-up and intercept. And it's probably indicative of the way that the Hull FC players looked upon that when Lynham was racing away. They gave up the chase very, very early on. Topped off, of course, with the Blake Austin drop goal just with a couple of minutes left to go. So 29 points to 6, that second 40 minutes, that is significant. It's something I'm going to ask Jack Hughes about if he gets up to the touchscreen following their celebrations in the dressing room. Game breaker's an easy one. A game breaker's a difficult one in a game like this. Obviously, Blake Austin was fantastic, wasn't he, as an individual performance. I'm going to choose Ben Murdoch-Masila's try because there was an awful lot of focus, particularly with the result after half-time last week in round 7 at Wakefield, what we would see from Warrington in the build-up to this one. Once again, great work from Cooper in the build-up. He's been outstanding for them in the 2019 season. But it's just the setup we see here. The line from Ben Murdoch-Masila, it's all well-timed, and he sits himself in here on the shoulder, which really opens the door. Have a look at the response from Jordan Thompson. Really has to bite in on that and doesn't get off in time. Ratchford glides through the hole. I love watching Steph Ratchford play. What a beautifully balanced runner he is. And then Ben Murdoch-Masila, a big weekend ahead for him. He gets the game-breaking try. It's a bit trite to call it a game-breaking try. The game was broken wide open, wasn't it, by Blake Austin in that first blistering 30 minutes. But there we go, for what it's worth.
Excellent, John. Thanks very much. Right, what does that do to the Betfred Super League table? Well, it puts the Warrington Wolves now still 2 points behind the St Helens side, but closing in on points difference for Hull FC. They're still in 8th spot, and they got some big teams chasing behind them, Catalan, Wakefield and Hull Kingston Rovers, who pushed St Helens close tonight. Saints, of course, with that victory in the end. All right, disappointing night to say the least for Hull FC. What does their coach Lee Radford make of it? He said they were massive underdogs going into the game. Here's his post-match assessment with Bill Arthur.
Lee, you were underdogs going into this, and then you're up against a Warrington side running hot, and you just couldn't live with them.
Yeah, next level, them fellas tonight. I watched Saints last week do the same to Castleford. It looks like there's them two going at it and everybody else on a different playing field, and we certainly was this evening. I think the tone was set. You know, our first defensive set, we spoke about getting out the blocks, and
our tackle selection on certain players. You know, Tommy Lanham carries the ball one off the ruck, and you know, Ben's, I think, a back row in the middle, like they're not there. And I think, I just said it in the changing room, from that moment on, we're second best in every department, unfortunately. So you know, we've got to make sure, you know, we've got to make sure we use that for what it is tonight. You know, a big slap of reality in the face, and where we're at and what the top of the tree looks like.
At half-time, the point was made that, you know, defensively you'd been very sort of fragmented, and that was exploited mercilessly, wasn't it?
Fragmented, no, an understatement. The communication and detail in what we did in the tackle was scary. You know, it looked like two blokes had just been introduced to each other on the field out there. It was, you know, worrying. So we've got to get that right. You know, we've got some blokes that are turning up with the football, but possibly not turning up as much with the other side of the fence, and that's my job to fix up.
Attitude.
Definitely, and like I said, if you watch that Tom Lanham carry, I think it'll paint the picture.
It's going to be a pretty difficult debrief then.
Definitely, yeah. But you know, you learn, you try and get better, and you know, hopefully these boys will as well.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't like to be in the Hull FC change rooms. Actually, it might be okay now that he's left it. And there's no doubt he has peeled the paint off the walls in there. Guys, we'll split this up into two. We'll assess Hull FC shortly, but first let's pay tribute to a side who, much like St Helens last week when they were rampant in that victory over the Castleford Tigers, Warrington Wolves were absolutely exhilarating tonight.
Absolute different level. The speed that they've got, they look bigger, they look stronger than they did last year. They look more focused. Bringing Blake Austin into the side obviously gives them a different attacking threat. I think everyone's looking at Blake Austin. What's Blake Austin going to be doing with the ball? Then it opens up some space out wide. You've got Stephen Ratchford, Darrell Clark. They're all playing on top of the game, and when they're attacking, everything seems at a different speed to everybody else.
If this was, in the words of Blake Austin, the best 80-minute performance we have put in as a side, referring to the Warrington Wolves, was it the best 80 minutes that you've seen from Blake Austin since he's come over?
Well, that's a big call, because I think the majority of games that he plays, I think that he is always one of the standout players. I think it's very easy for Blake Austin when he's got players around him that are helping him do his job. You know, like Chris Hill and Philbin, when they go at the line, no one's expecting them to pass, but he pushes up really hard. He is an absolute runner of the ball. I'm telling you, Brian, if I'm defending against Blake Austin in the middle of the field, I'd be petrified whenever he stood either side of the
his
ruck.
eyes would light up if he saw you in front of him.
Yeah, I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would.
As pitches get harder, his footwork and his pace, faster players look quicker on a harder surface than you know. I mean, as the pitches get firmer, he's only going to look even more dangerous. I mean, we've thrown a lot of those dummies. I mean, people slipping out of the way. They can't even touch him, never mind tackle him at present. I thought that was his best performance, Brian, by far.
I'll tell you what, we should pay tribute to their forwards, the passing forwards, Terry. I mean, it's not exactly what it was like in your day, shall we say, but there was some really good plays and performance from Chris Hill.
It's not about the big player with Warrington, it's about the short little plays that they do. Chris Hill, you got Mike Cooper, who's offloading game. I think Mike Cooper over the last 2 years has been absolutely brilliant. The way that he comes onto the ball, the offload, Darrell Clark's waiting there, then all of a sudden it's like a get on board set. Every time that they're attacking, it's really difficult for defenders around the middle of the park, because you're looking up and you're confronted with wave after wave after wave of attack. So Blake Austin, he was brilliant, but the way that he performs, he's only being able to perform like that because everyone else around is doing their jobs, and they're doing it really well.
Well, you lead us nicely to a man that Phil Clark called one of Warrington's unsung heroes a couple of weeks ago, and when referring to their two second rowers, said the work they do is invaluable, doesn't often go noticed. We can speak to one of those now. Jack Hughes is down to take us through his thoughts on that game with John Wells. John.
Cheers, Brian. Jack, first of all, congratulations on the win. Your summary then, please, of a job very well done.
Yeah, it's a professional job. You know, we came here to get our job done, and that's exactly what we did tonight. We put a lot of emphasis on the start of the game. You know, that's shown for everyone to see there. That the start of the game was, we really nailed it, and you know, we managed to carry that on. Whereas last week we fell away towards the second half, and it was a disappointing end. So, you know, the most pleasing thing was the way we finished the game tonight, rather than the start.
Yeah, Terry was just mentioning in the studio, and we're talking about Blake Austin in glowing terms. He's been a fantastic addition to your team, but it's probably unfair to heap all the praise on one person, because what you've got is a team full of players who are playing right at the top of the game. This is as good as I've seen a collective right across the park.
Yeah, he's spot on. You know, Osto stood out tonight. You know, he scored the tries, he get the headlines, but you know, great team performance out there. You know, especially through the middle third of the field. You know, the way the middles are playing. You know, that makes it so much easier for the likes of Blake and you know your half-backs, your full-backs to play off the back off. So massive rap to the middles, and yeah, Blake will get the headlines for that.
And which takes us rather neatly to the first piece of footage I wanted to show, and it's the Charnley try in which you have a part to play in the build-up. It doesn't show to best effect what your middles are doing, but there's a couple of guys I want to pick out in the build-up to this. Cooper, first of all, with an offload, not the best example of it again, but just the willingness to play, after contact, and then also the pre-line stuff that we saw an awful lot at. That's obviously an awful lot of practice in the training field.
Of course it is, yeah. You know, every team wants their middles to be able to play. You know, not just cart the ball up and lay the post. So you know, we push, and Pricey pushes the boys very hard to, you know, to push passes and use each other up. And you know, it's just showing that it's hard to defend. You know, you don't expect it too much from the big boys, and when it does come, it catches you. Yeah.
So the second part of the play, what again impresses me is that you guys are actually ready to play off the back of an offload. It's happening that often. This is now becoming second nature to you. Tell me what you see in the build up to this. I'll just open this screen up a little bit, and as you get the ball now, what have you seen? What has entered your mind at this point?
So first of all, you know, I'm man and man here. I've got Mark Sneed in front of me. I know I've got my centre winger outside me, and they've got theirs. So I'm seeing man and man, 3v3 in a big space. So my first thought is, you know, to get on the outside of Mark Sneed, you know, and try and get rid of him and get the centre here.
Because he's detached himself from the line. Is that a significant part of this?
It is, yeah. You know what I do next. You know, I'm more than likely not going to do if the centre's up with Mark Sneed. Right. So the fact that he stepped back there creates that bit of a lane for me to skip into and you know, get his eyes on me. Yeah.
And is this instinctive stuff at this point?
It is, yeah. You know, that just happens. You know, you can't plan for that. That's just, you know, knowing how to execute that scenario, and you know, it's practicing training, and yeah, it's kind of just comes natural, really.
These players always do this. They always talk down their own achievement. I want someone to turn around and say, that is brilliant. I practice it all the time. It's come off. It's excellent. Right. Conditioning, tactical detail, discipline, effort, all those things you can train and you can try and instill in players. What about that elusive one, the one that's missing?